Good evening, listeners, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of
Fear the Queer, a podcast that talks about everything on our gay agendas. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Josh.
And on today's episode, we are joined by the fabulous reality TV and pop culture connoisseur, our friend, the legendary Jill Konkel.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here and on an episode of my favorite podcast.
This isn't Race Chaser.
Oh.
I'm not Willem. He's not Alaska.
Well, this is awkward.
I was like, we'll pay you to stay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll send you my Venmo later.
There you go.
Okay.
But for real.
Okay. Yes, I'm so excited to be on Fear the Queer. I've wanted to be on Fear the Queer for a while now, and I really wanted to be on your two prior episodes, the Kinks episode and the RuPaul episode, because I feel like those are two topics that I'm very well versed in.
And we love a well-versed queen here at Fear the Queer.
True. Yeah.
You are not wrong. We definitely do. But yes, I'm very excited. Even though I wasn't on those episodes, this is still a topic that I know quite a bit about.
Yes, which is
America's Next Top Model.
Yes, that's right. Tonight we're talking about everything ANTM from its beginning, its great moments, its not so great moments. What is that phrase?
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes, thank you very much. We're talking about everything ANTM tonight. What?
I was going to say the good, the bad, and the ugly. That represents each of us here. Jill's good, you're bad, and I'm ugly.
Oh!
You've got a face for radio.
Yeah.
And a voice for print.
All right. But before we get into that, Kyle, what are we drinking tonight?
We are drinking this delicious rosé I picked up at the store, and it has this lovely little rose sculpted in the bottom. And who doesn't love a rosebud bottom?
Ooh.
I know I do.
Oh,
All right.
well, cheers, queers.
Cheers. You know, I always say that there's three certainties in life. There's death, taxes, and Jill Konkel's going to be drinking rosé.
Accurate. Yeah.
Like the trademark in the corner.
Check. Yeah. We'll make you t-shirts.
Take that to the bank.
All right. But before we get into the heart of our gay agenda tonight, we're going to do another segment of
Queer This or That.
Also known as
Would You Rather.
But we don't have the trademark for that.
Yes. It's like I always say, it's like a Gwen Stefani thing. You take something that someone's already done, you change the name and act like you did it.
Yeah.
Hey, I ain't no holla back girl.
Gwen Stefani's somewhere like, what?
She's like, I like
She's
that.
on to me.
She's like, I'm going to take that.
I'm a Gwen fan, well, before the Blake Shelton. But.
All right. So because we're going to be talking about America's Next Top Model tonight, we're actually going to do Queer This or That in the form of America's Next Top Model.
Yes.
So would you rather this sort of thing that happens on ANTM or this sort of thing that happens on ANTM?
Right, and this can be, anywhere between like makeover type stuff, photo shoots, just reality TV kind of bullshit. So Josh and I have come up with some options, and Jill, I think, you'll be living it out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Do you want me to start or do you want to start?
Yeah, because how many do you have?
I have 3.
Well,
I have 3 also.
Do you want to do you go one, you go one?
Yeah, we'll just go back
Okay,
and forth.
there we
Okay,
go.
I like that.
You start.
Okay. Makeover time.
Oh,
Okay.
my favorite.
Yes. Jill, would you rather have your head shaved or your eyebrows bleached gray blonde?
I'm going to go with, honestly, my head shaved.
Really?
Because I would find hard pressed for, especially a girl, but anyone who has long hair. Have you ever fantasized just about starting over?
Yeah.
Literally just
Yeah.
shaving your head and starting over with fresh hair. I feel like that would be the perfect excuse of you're on the show, Tyra thinks you can pull it off, which I think is a huge compliment.
It's like you
Yeah.
suggest, though. You're like,
Right.
maybe you should shave my head. They're like, well, we were
Maybe
just
you
going to
should.
bleach your eyebrows, but...
But we'll do both.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect excuse to kind of just be like, all right, let's start over with fresh hair.
That's nice.
And then you can steal that and trademark it and be like Mrs. Clean.
Right.
So
well, they're going to
Clean,
do
Mrs.
that close
Clean.
to the shave.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Very...
I mean, you could be bald.
You could be mauled.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be here for it.
I don't know what I would do. I think I would probably bleach my eyebrows.
Really?
And then I would draw them in real thin.
Like
Yeah, like-
microscopic.
Yeah.
I actually would probably shave my head because I actually think that one, hair goes back, and my hair grows really
Right.
quickly.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
2, I'm kind of interested in what that would look like.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, you just want to see, like, could I pull off the bald look?
Right.
I have
What
a
does my
bump.
head shape look like?
Like I have
Right,
a
I
bump
know.
on top of my head that I got when I jumped into my bunk bed when I was little. So I know if I ever was bald, you would see that weird bump in my skull. And
No, that's just your dead twin inside of your head.
I ate him, and now I have all of his knowledge. All right, so here's my this or that.
Okay.
Would you rather do a photo shoot with a live spider on your face or do a photo shoot with a live snake wrapped around your neck?
Ooh. I would do a snake, hardcore.
You do snake? Yeah.
Anyone who knows me knows I have the biggest phobia of bugs.
I didn't know that. Oh, wait, yes, I
You
did.
About the
I
dragonfly.
did. Yeah, dragonfly.
I was once taking a bath and a dragonfly flew in. And I jumped out of the bath and ran in my closet and fell and face planted while I was running. So it left me physically and emotionally bruised. But
And-
so I don't think I could do the tarantula.
I'm just imagining
but-
like this like dragonfly with like a little gun
Yeah.
going into your
It
apartment.
was terrifying. I was so scared. But I was on the phone with my sister for like a half hour, or no, like an hour and a half
Yeah.
with the door of the bathroom closed because I was so afraid. I had to call my landlord to let the dragonfly out. Anyway.
Was the dragonfly in your living
it got
room
caught
space or
in
in
my window of my bathroom? And it was like on the screen, and I was terrified. It's a very irrational fear, but I just can't. Whatever.
So you would do a snake?
I would do the snake
Yeah.
because I love a Britney Spears moment, and I feel
Right.
like that's when I would
That's-
channel
yeah.
a Slave for You VMAs moment, and that's really my
Well,
only
did
shot
you
to do
know?
it.
Sorry, this is like a very small tribute, but like the photo shoot that they did with the live snake, the yellow boa constrictor,
Yes.
is the same one that they had for Britney.
I
Oh
never
my
knew
God.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that would make sense.
Right.
Oh my
Yeah.
God,
That's
it's
so funny.
Shaka?
Shaka.
Yeah, her name was Shaka.
Oh, I don't know.
You
Yeah.
knew the name of the snake?
Yeah, I'm joking.
Oh, I was like, oh my gosh. I felt bad as like a total Britney.
Yeah, you're like, Kyle, you don't
I'm
even like
such a
Britney Spears. And
Britney
I'm just
girl.
like, well, Shaka was the name of the snake. She died about 2 years ago.
Boa constrictors live forever. They
She
live.
had a drug problem.
Oh, wow.
She was eating too many dragonflies.
Can't relate.
Right. All right. Next one. So go-sees.
Oh, my favorite episodes.
Yes. Would you rather ride in a tut-tut, hoot-hoot, putt-putt with Jade? Or would you rather go with Brittany from Cycle 8 and have a total meltdown when you lose? Some people have water in their countries.
Oh, Natasha.
I know. Oh, I just... sorry, I
love
have
her.
to like add like a soundbite of that because that was so good.
Yeah. Yeah. It would definitely be Jade. It would definitely be in the tuk-tuk with Jade.
Yeah.
I feel like Brittany would be hilarious, but I think what made that funny was Natasha's reaction to it, how she just
Right.
laughed at her and said, there's people with war in the countries. Like,
Yeah.
I would
She's like,
love
I
that.
can cry if I want
know,
to.
exactly. I think that would be annoying in the moment. I think Jade would be so fun. I think
I love
we
Jade.
could go all over Thailand and
Just talk about.
I feel like me and Jade could kind of be like in a caper comedy duo and a tuk-tuk over Thailand.
Yeah.
Solving crimes of fashion.
Oh,
And
I like that.
it would be just so fun. And we would just travel via tuk-tuk.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, that would be so fun.
Yeah, I
I'm
could
going
see
to
that.
fantasize about that all night
Yeah.
Now there's a reality show I'd like to watch.
Right.
now. Same.
Jill and
UPN,
Jill and
are
Jade
you
take over.
listening?
Yeah.
It doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh yeah.
Can you hear us, UPN?
Right.
That's
They're like, I haven't heard that
definitely-
name in years.
Could you imagine? Because I feel like Jade would be fun, and we'd probably make friends with like the cameraman and
yeah.
the producers, and it would just be so fun.
And you guys would find like some mushrooms and like
yeah,
the forest.
and like some like cute guys or
Yeah.
something like.
And that combination alone would be great.
And I
Yeah.
feel like Jade was such an iconic character because she was such like a drag queen herself.
Exactly.
And you love drag queens.
That's
so I
true.
feel like
And I
the
kind
two
of
of you,
am too, so-
yeah, it would
yeah.
be a moment.
Yeah, it would be really really.
people on
fun.
the street are just like, oh my god, this drag show's amazing.
RuPaul's Drag Race, Drag Race,
realistic.
it's a Drag Race Thailand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a literal race.
It's like,
The amazing
it's
race.
the amazing.
The amazing drag race.
Oh.
No one steal that.
Yeah, RuPaul, we
Gwen
know you're
Stefani.
listening.
I know you're listening.
Gwen and Blake, we know. It's tapped.
I mean, that's why Trump won
Right.
was because of Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton.
The Harajuku girls were like,
They're rigging the election.
all right, your
So-
question.
Baby.
Next one. Would you rather be on a season with only women, or I guess like only your gender,
Okay.
or be on a season when they had both of the genders?
Ooh. I tried watching one of the recent seasons with the guys on it.
Yeah.
It's not as good.
Right, I agree. I didn't like it. I would like to do an all my gender.
Yeah.
And I think just because it would be fun, because it's just you like the friendships with everyone, and then like the hookups could be really fun. And I feel like when guys get involved, then you're competing maybe, or you're doing.
But it seems more like a hookup show.
Well, there was that one guy who
It's more like
headbutted
the
the other
real
one.
Oh, that's
You remember
fun.
that?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
He was like, you gonna hit me? You gonna hit me? And then he headbutted him.
Oh,
Yeah,
my.
I remember
So
That's
I
when I
mean,
stopped watching.
yeah. Besides like Niall
But that's,
DeMarco
like,
coming
not-
out of that,
Right.
But that's not like, I don't know, classic A&T.
Exactly.
No,
It's
yeah.
not. I feel like that's when the show jumped the shark.
now
Right.
what if it was all male models?
That would be kind of interesting.
Because
Yeah.
I think that could be interesting.
Right. It's all your gender.
Right.
Yeah.
I would
I
totally
think
do
that-
all
Or like,
my gender.
or like, what about
Yeah.
like all like? I always thought it'd be interesting to have a show where it was like all either like non-binary people or like trans model. Well, there is a show that was like trans models. I think it was called was it Strut? Whoopi Goldberg
Oh.
produced it, and Laith Ashley was one of the judges.
Oh my god.
Wow,
that's cool.
I love that.
I forgot about that. Me too.
Wait, so what was your decision?
I would probably. Well, you both raised really good points. Like at first, I was like, "Oh, I want men and women both there." But now I'm kind of like, I probably want to just like stick with one. Like I'd want to be a girl, and I'd want to be with other girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
wouldn't
think
want.
that'd be so fun.
Yeah.
Because I also think like the girls are way more cutthroat,
Oh,
and so like I
definitely.
feel
Right.
like they actually would take it way more seriously than
Yeah.
even like an all guys season. I feel like it'd just be like broing around, be like,
Right.
"Hey man, did you smize well today?"
Right. Right.
Well, and you just I don't know. Like the straight
Which
guys
I
who are
think would
models
be
bother
fun
me.
to live, like kind of. I think it'd be more fun than to live in with all the girls being cutthroat and
Right.
like fighting all the time.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's fun to watch on TV, but when you're living it, it's like, oh my
It's
god,
hell, yeah.
I,
I
wanna
would
jump
just
out the window.
I'd be reading the Bible in my
right.
room alone.
Well, Robin did.
Yeah.
Right.
It's-
Speaking of which, last question on my end.
Oh wait, really?
Yeah. Would you rather have Robin conduct a prayer circle in your honor to exorcise all the demons from your body? Or would you rather have Brie pour out all your energy drinks because you stole her damn granola bars?
iconic.
Yeah.
Well, I don't do energy drinks. I've never had one, so I mean, I would like if in a momentary lapse of judgment, if I
What if
bought
it was
them.
your rosé?
Oh, that would be really okay. Then it would be on.
Yeah.
No, I
Or like your
think-
Evian bottle.
Yeah. You know I'm a smart water girl.
Your smart water. Sponsored.
Or the Whole Foods generic smart water.
Yeah.
But I think I would do the prayer circle just because I would be the center of attention.
Yeah. Also, that's
And-
one of my favorite moments is when they're
when
doing
Ebony-
the prayer. Ebony turns to the
And
camera.
breaks the fourth wall and she turns to the camera and just deadpans to it.
That's amazing.
It is so good. That is iconic ANTM.
That's
That is.
amazing.
I'll never forget watching when the show was airing and seeing that commercial for like coming up on America's Next or next week on America's Next Top Model, and it's just Ebony looking at the camera and like Robin's having the prayer circle and is singing.
I just love that they're,
Jesus.
they're just like fighting, and then Robin is like, Jesus.
Yeah. And,
And everyone's like-
I don't know what you're singing about, but it was so
They're
good.
just like,
I love
"Gee,
her.
what is she doing?" But it does calm all the girls. I would just be like,
Well, I think
I don't know what to
everyone.
say.
I don't know if it calmed them. I think everyone's like, okay, we need to move on from whatever this.
they're
was.
just like, clearly Robin's lost it.
Right?
And she's like, grab my hands, we're gonna pray. And then she cries.
Yeah.
Well,
that
Elise
is good
cries
TV.
too because Elise was so uncomfortable.
Oh, and I felt bad for her.
yes.
Yeah,
okay.
me too.
Yeah.
So
Shady.
what are your guys' choices?
Prayer circle.
Prayer circle.
I would do energy drink granola bar
Really?
fight.
Because it's a fight.
Because it's a fight.
Because it's a
and,
fight.
and for me, like,
'Cause I was
that's
gonna
where...
say you don't drink energy drinks.
No, but for me, getting confrontational with another person is probably where I would go.
This is very, like, that's an
That would be
Aries
good.
mood, and Jill, you and I, it's a Leo mood.
Leo mood,
Yeah,
yeah.
center of
Oh my God.
attention.
Those
The
two
center of attention,
scenarios
yeah.
literally are Leo and Aries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I love that, though.
Did you
Why
plan
didn't-
that?
No.
I planned it, and I didn't even know the question. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, what's your
So,
last question?
last one. So, would you rather have beer poured on your weave by a stank hoe or have a poorly done weave for your makeover a la Britney season 8?
Or Molly from season 16.
Yep.
So,
Remember that? She had like Ronald McDonald, like blonde hair.
oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it would be beer from the Stanko, which I love.
You gotta say it the way
Tiffany's-
she did.
Yeah. I want you to do it.
Okay, that stank hoe poured her beer on my weave.
My favorite is I don't know who's trying to calm Tiffany down, and she's like you can be Martin Luther King, but I'm Malcolm X.
Yeah.
So good.
That's political.
Yeah, definitely. She was having a political moment.
She
but
was.
That's a
I would
great
rather
show.
have the beer because I mean That's a fight. It's on. If anyone's, I mean, that's, I mean, we
Well, who
also
would pour beer on someone?
Exactly.
We don't even know that girl. She just like poured it on.
Yeah, I mean, they were jealous because it's like here we're at a bar and all these models come in.
And there was like a dance off too. They were having a dance off and she poured beer on her head.
Save the Last Dance. It was like 2003 though.
Right.
So I would want that because I can go home. Well, we could fight, we could tussle. That's fun. Go home, wash up, and you're fine.
Yeah.
The weave that looks so uncomfortable.
And and they
you're
always give it to these
itching
white girls.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like,
and I don't. It's just like
it's almost like Tara's doing it on purpose. She's like, they're too strong of a model,
Well,
so I'm going to give them this challenge
none
of having.
The girls who got bad weaves were that strong.
Well, the weird thing
That's
is too is the
shady.
fact that like they
Shady.
all had like really long hair to begin with,
Right.
And then they put all their natural hair up in this net,
Right.
And then they put a weave on top of it. It's like, of course, that's gonna look shitty.
And it's painful. Like it's itchy.
It's like a helmet.
Uncomfortable. The beer, I would rather have the beer. That's over in a night. That's a
Well, who doesn't rather have beer? Yeah.
True, and that's a fun, dramatic moment. I mean, that's always fun.
And then you can go home.
And you go home.
Yeah, get sent home and come back the next year.
Iconic.
And now to the heart of our gay agenda tonight, America's Next Top Model.
Woo!
Yes. So we are going to be talking about everything with this legendary TV show. And as you guys already know, we have brought on a very good friend of ours, Jill Konkel.
Yes.
Hi, Jill.
Hi, everyone. Kyle and Josh.
So
Thanks for having me.
We introduced you a little bit in the beginning, and obviously people have heard the story about the dragonfly and some of your opinions on queer this or that. But go ahead and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yes.
Sure. Well, my name is Jill Marie Konkel. I was born on August 16th, 1998. No, I'm just joking.
So young.
I know.
Right.
She's a fetus.
Exactly. I am a Leo with a Gemini rising. I'm the self-proclaimed Princess of Boys Town. I've lived here for almost 10 years.
She's killed anyone else who's tried to come for that title.
Exactly. And I'm a chronic sufferer of delusions of grandeur. So
Then you're in the right place.
exactly. You know, that's why I'm friends with you guys.
Right. We're actually recording from Cook County Asylum.
Right. I'm a patient here.
Yeah.
I've been watching A&TM since the very beginning. I am a reality TV connoisseur. I was telling Josh and Kyle earlier that I think I maybe watch 10 television shows total, and 7 of those are reality TV shows. I'm very big.
Some of them are her home videos.
Yes, exactly. It's just
So
me
reality
talking
TV.
into my Snapchat camera. I'm not. I'm too
And she's
old
like,
for
wow,
that.
this is so enthralling.
Exactly. I don't you do that though when you post a Snapchat story? You watch it over and over. Like this is so entertaining.
I'm just like, I look so ugly.
Shut up. So I'm huge into reality television.
Yeah.
And A&TM, for anyone, I won't say old enough, but anyone mature enough
yes.
to have watched the show from the beginning will know just how iconic and groundbreaking the show is. And it's just something that I always return to. And I know we used to bartend and get off at like 11 o'clock and go to your apartment and just sit on your couch
and watch America's Next Top
Josh
Model.
would go, so what season you want to watch? And then we'd always go either the makeover episodes or the ghosty episodes, because those are the 2 best episodes. If
by
you're
far.
just skipping in A&TM, those are the ghosty episodes are my favorite.
Oh, I love the ghosty
They're
episodes.
so
It's crazy to think that America's Next Top Model has been on for so long. The show actually started May 20th, 2003.
It's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's like what? I was like 6th grade.
Yeah, I
That's
was
insane.
I was in 7th grade.
I was in 7th grade.
And literally since the beginning, Tyra Banks has been triggering every little gay boy by asking, "You want to be on top?"
Boo!
I'll flip this table.
So do you want to be on top?
Again, we love a well-versed queen.
It's true.
Not a lazy top.
Gosh, mood.
Yeah. As Kyle sips his drink.
Right. Take a big gulp.
Yeah. It's what I loved about A&TM is because at the time we've had like Survivor, like Amazing Race,
American
Big
Idol.
Brother.
American Idol, Big Brother, but like none of those shows really like were like a competition in terms of like you could be a superstar after this, except for American Idol.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely American Idol the first few seasons.
Right. So it's kind of like this was like really cool. It's like, oh my God, we're on the search of like someone big here. And so because
it was hosted by Tyra Banks, who was so
well known,
and it's
by Coyote Ugly, like
right, life size,
right, her defining
Iconic.
moments,
right.
No, but for real, like because it was one of like the groundbreaking TV shows, it was actually able to kind of explore topics and themes that people on TV have not really learned about yet.
Right, especially the fashion industry.
Oh
too,
yeah,
which is there's so many layers to it, and and there is kind of a counterculture to the fashion industry where it's artistic and it was accepting of a culture that in everyday society
most people
wasn't
wouldn't even know
readily
about.
accepted, and the fashion industry was accepting of those types.
Yeah, it definitely tried to tackle a lot of major issues, even from the beginning.
Yeah.
And as
the
the show has evolved, or did evolve, it still tackles major issues that our ever-evolving society is taking on.
Well, it's funny, too, because some of the topics that they bring up, like when you think about it, like back in like 2007, 2008, it's like these are things that are now just starting to get talked about in today's society by the mainstream. It's just like, Jesus Christ.
So
like,
what were some of the topics that y'all noticed the first time, or like as you're watching that stood out to you?
I mean, ANTM has been, kind of to relate it to Fear the Queer, has been touching on the
nice plug.
I'm a marketing major.
Thank you.
I have a marketing degree. But to kind of talk about how it affected the queer community, kind of progressed the queer community.
Yeah.
From day one, season one, when we had Ebony, who
the first queer contestant.
The first queer contestant was a lesbian.
Yeah.
And well, kind of to preface, I'm assuming everyone who's listening knows how America's Next Top Model works, but it was, these women who are picked to live in a house and kind of compete to become America's Next Top Model. And the first season, when we had Ebony, we kind of touched on how people were viewing queer relationships. And I feel like a lot of these women in the house had never met a queer person or an out queer person.
Because some of them were like from Indiana, Kansas,
They were, or anywhere in the country.
Yeah,
they were just completely mystified of the fact. And Robin was, she was older for the show. She was 26.
Which
is ancient.
Which is really ancient for that
America's
industry.
Next Top Model.
And I mean, and she also carried herself like she was a lot older.
Oh, she acted like she was 60.
It's crazy. Exactly. It's crazy to me that we're all older than Robin now, because I picture her.
I still picture her being like that really old, like
mother figure.
Her whole mentality was, I'm better than you. She read her Bible all the time, which isn't a bad thing.
No.
Reading your Bible is totally fine, but she would use the Bible to question Ebony being a lesbian.
Right.
She used it as like a weapon to like be condescending.
She weaponized
able
her
to be
religion.
like, I'm better than you.
Right. And it's so funny to me how a lot of people say how queer people push a gay agenda.
Oh my God, yeah.
When Robin is the one, when Elise, another model in the house, was an atheist.
Yeah.
Robin calls her over and has her read a Bible verse about how foolish is a man who doesn't believe in God. And it's like, and you're talking about Ebony pushing an agenda?
Right.
So...
And it's what I love about the first season with Ebony is the fact that the first representation we have for a queer person is a queer person of color.
Yes.
And a lesbian.
Yeah, and a lesbian.
Queer woman of color.
Yeah.
Like that, I mean... so underrepresented, and that is right off the bat what's represented on the show on the first season in 2003, which is incredible to me.
We had George Bush as president, like we were in the middle of like going to Iraq,
right? And this is a queer woman of color on the most popular show in 2003 during the Bush years.
Right.
Well, so
speaking of queer people, not just Ebony being on the show, but then you have the Jays.
Yeah.
So you have predominant gay male, well, I shouldn't say gay male because I don't know Miss J. Yeah, you don't know Miss J. Alexander's gender. I'm not sure.
No.
But
well, I don't think she really identifies as really.
Yeah, because the pronouns kind of go in and out when you watch the series.
Right.
But all the models love the Jays, but then
look up to them.
and look up to them, but then they're uncomfortable with Ebony being a lesbian, and I always thought that was weird.
And it's so funny too because in that same season, there's a girl like they were doing a runway like teaching, and Miss J comes on, and one of the girls in a confessional was just like, it's just so funny to me because Miss J just comes out in his heels and everything, and like no one explains it to us. We're just supposed to be like, yeah, that's Miss J. Like
he's just one of the girls.
Yeah, like what
we
is
love
he?
him. Yeah.
Right.
And I'm just like, granted, I love the fact that the show never has to like define him or her.
Right.
Like,
Divine.
Them.
Yeah, basically.
Right, which is amazing. But how you said, though, because I think they really took to Miss and Mr. J.
Yeah.
Because they were a wealth of knowledge and could really help them. But when Ebony invited her girlfriend over, which is so crazy to me.
Major moment.
Because that's how you know...
It was an early.
It was an early because can you imagine being... someone inviting someone from the outside to come hang out at their apartment.
That's how you know it's season one.
And a reality TV show. Yeah.
That's also crazy to me. But Ebony invites her girlfriend over, and her name's Ka. And Robin, there's a soundbite where she goes, Ebony is a lesbian. And I found this offensive.
Yeah.
And that's all she says.
Yeah.
Not... Ebony's doing this in front of me. Just the fact that she's a lesbian offends her.
Yeah.
So Ebony sits everyone down and says, is it okay if I bring my girlfriend over? And everyone's like, yeah, sure. But Shannon, another model, younger model, she's like 18, and Robin are together. Shannon's also very religious and reads her Bible with Robin. Mm-hmm. And they immediately say, well, where are you going to be? What are you going to be doing?
Right.
And grilling her on all of these questions. And Kissy, who's it was the three women who read their Bible. Kissy's totally fine with it.
She's good.
She's amazing.
Yeah, I like Kissy.
She's very religious, but she goes and meets Ka. And
super polite
and super nice, and Ka's like the nicest person ever. And Robin and Shannon sit in their room and don't even acknowledge that Ka's over.
Yeah. It's truly
and
rude.
Robin is some etiquette queen, Southern Miss Soybean.
Well, she was a beauty pageant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the first rule of etiquette is to acknowledge someone when they come into a room. And because someone's a lesbian, you're not even going to go
right, you think you have
them.
the right to like be disrespectful.
Right. And the one thing, obviously watching that, it infuriates me, but I do find comfort knowing that if that were to happen today, there would be...
there'd be an uproar.
A total uproar. And I also think it's helpful that it's on the show because I think it's a prime example of what queer people deal with, especially what they dealt with in 2003 and before.
Yeah, you could totally feature that episode like a queer studies class.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's a prime example of, look, this person doesn't even want to acknowledge that you're in the same apartment as them.
Right.
Because you're with
and that was
your
only,
girlfriend.
16 years ago?
Yeah,
only 16
not
years
a long
ago.
time ago.
Yeah.
Luckily, the show has progressed, and we've had other queer contestants on.
Yeah.
There have been very good examples of, you have Kayla from season, was it 15?
Yeah. But I always want to go over with Kim from season 5, because I feel like Kim was the very first example of being like, I'm an out and proud lesbian. I'm here to dominate this competition.
Well, Ebony was too, though.
Well, yeah, but in the sense of all the girls in the house were just like,
yes.
There was a better understanding.
Right,
at that point.
5 seasons later, Kim was more of a very prominent character in the entire show. Ebony was kind of.
Ebony was, but I also think that Robin had such a strong personality, and not that I want to defend Shannon in any way because she followed Robin's lead.
Yeah.
But I feel like Robin was 26, Shannon was 18. Mm-hmm. There's a very, very big difference between 26 and 18.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like Robin definitely was the mother figure. She had a really strong personality.
Yes, she did.
And she was very confident. She knew everything. And Shannon, I think, kind of was 18. She's from Indiana. First time she's ever been out of her parents' house. She lashed onto Robin and went with what she said. Because the second Robin was gone, Shannon...
She was nice.
She wanted to have fun. She was silly with Elise and Adrian.
Yeah.
And I think but I still think what Shannon did was wrong.
Yeah.
But I do think she was following Robin's lead.
Right. Well, and that's kind of why Shannon came back for All Stars, because she was just like, I want to prove myself that I am my own person, and I do have my own belief system.
Right.
And she was just like, and the entire time I felt like all I was just an extension of Robin.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
it was like a Rulaska Talks situation.
Right, basically,
and a redemption story.
Yeah. But with Kim, I just felt like, I don't know, she was just like this very cool, out and loud lesbian. The judges were very supportive of
They were
her
pro-Kim.
identity. Yeah, they're just like, no,
Right.
you're not actually getting that much of a makeover because you're the only one that we actually really like your style. Keep doing what you do and things like that. So she really was able to help with like gender bending and like
She was definitely, you can tell it was like 2005 where it was like the Kanye West like polo pop
Yes,
collar. Like
yes.
Kim always
Abercrombie and
sported
Fitch,
that. Yes.
with her little faux hawk.
Yes, like the stripe polo.
and then she
with
always
the
wore
pop
those
collar.
weird camo shorts. Like I'm
And
just
the
like
Bermuda shorts.
yeah.
Yes. That show was a time capsule.
That was a
Right.
choice.
Yes, definitely.
So I think when hold on, let me
So like
gather.
Ebony walked, so Kim could run.
Ebony walked
Oh.
so Kim could run.
Yeah.
FG. So true. I actually like that.
They're
But
like self-reflecting
But I
here.
would love to have seen more of Ebony because personally I prefer Ebony over Kim.
I thought what was interesting too is the moment that you meet Ebony's girlfriend Ka is the same episode she goes home.
Yeah.
No.
And how much you want to bet the producers are like, hey, your girlfriend should come over? Because maybe the producers wanted to kind of push this like, hey, it's cool to be gay sort of thing. Like Tyra Banks, she had the big thing across her mouth saying no hate.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Like, so Tyra Banks is like a big like ally.
Yeah.
But also, we're all pretty well versed in reality television, and you know that when you have an episode kind of featuring your story arc and
You're going home.
you're going home.
Yeah.
You gotta
9 times out
save
of
that
10.
shit. It's such a hard balance because you have to be vulnerable enough to be interesting and make it to the end, but don't show your entire hand. Otherwise, you're going home.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like, okay, well, your story's complete. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Exactly, your
Yeah.
stories, and I think that was that classic reality television formula.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy that it was there, and on the first season.
Yeah. On the
Amazing.
first season, first episode, right off the bat, they're going to have queer representation. Great. And I will always say that ANTM is probably one of the very first examples for me of exposing me to, like,
Queer culture.
queer culture.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And then, when was it? 2008, they had ISIS on, the first
Right.
transgender
ISIS,
contestant,
yep.
which was huge.
Massive.
I remember, like, being
And
so, like...
she was season 11.
Yeah,
was
what
ISIS.
what did I say? I'm sorry.
8.
Oh, 8. She was, I remember it was so groundbreaking. I remember like talking about it with all my friends. Like, did you hear that there's a transgender contestant on America's Next Top Model? That's so cool.
No,
and like
it's interesting too because a few years earlier you have them understanding lesbians and like the rest of the girls being okay with it.
Yeah.
But some of those girls, when they find out that ISIS is transgender,
oh no.
reacted just like Robin and Shannon did, if not worse.
Oh, they said outwardly horrible things to ISIS.
Horrible.
Like, there's a contestant on there named Clark. I remember she was talking about, like, how, like, oh, don't worry, like, I'm not really afraid of ISIS in the competition. I'm here to win. But, if it comes down to it, I'll stomp that man right out of this competition.
Like, how transphobic and fucked up is that?
Yeah, that is
Insane.
so... Like,
To
I hope
talk
she
about
looks
that
back
way.
at that moment and be like, I am so embarrassed by that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And there's also a point where they're grilling her about, did you have the surgery yet? Did you have
Yeah.
this? You're literally asking a stranger
Right.
about their private parts.
Right.
In what world is that okay to do? ISIS is not your science experiment
No.
or someone for you to ask. That is insane. Who
Right.
would ever talk to you about your private parts?
Right.
And especially someone you do not even know.
Right. And you're in a competition
In
with.
your competition with them, they're a perfect
Yeah.
stranger.
And joke's on all of them, though, because ISIS is killing it in the model
Yes.
industry. Like, she's doing so well.
I
Yeah, and
was
she was just-
walking
oh, sorry.
home in Boys Town. There was a billboard, and it was an anti-smoking campaign,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a woman. And I looked, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's ISIS!"
Yes.
So
Yeah.
she's still doing her thing.
She's
and-
actually, you know that Netflix show, When They See Us?
Yes.
She's in it.
Oh no way!
Is she really?
Yeah.
I tried watching that show, and it was so heavy.
Oh
and
my
I
God,
was
it's
like,
so hard to
I was
watch.
like, you got
Yeah.
me. Like,
But
you
she's
got
one of
me.
the actresses in it.
Really?
Yeah.
I see. It's just one of
That's
those things that
amazing.
you don't have to win the show
No.
to go
To go
on to do amazing
Amazing
things.
Right. Exactly.
And notice how it's a lot of the queer contestants that have gone on to do really
Oh, yeah.
successful things. Just saying. Anyway.
Yeah, so true.
But I also, what I will say fondly about America's Next Top Model with ISIS and how they treat her is that very quickly in the first episode, you have all the transphobic girls.
Yeah.
And most of them actually went home.
Oh,
because
yeah.
they're just like, well, we don't want you in this competition.
You had my girl Sheena.
Yeah, you had Sheena, who was like, oh my god, Isis is so beautiful and wonderful. She's nice to talk to.
Right.
And then do you remember Annalie?
Yes.
Yes. Annalie, actually, there's a little segment of Isis being like, I need help getting my hormones. Like, and she's like, I need someone to help me do it. And she turns to Annalie, she's like, will you help me? And Annalie's just like, yeah, sure. And all she really did was just talk to her the entire time. Be like, how's your day? Like, what you doing? You know, like, how do you feel about the competition?
I remember watching that live on UPN.
Yeah.
And I remember, I didn't realize how queer I was, but I remember connecting to that so hard.
Right.
And, like, I don't know why. It's, like, probably why, am I being a Kim apologist? When I first saw Kim, I was just like, oh my God.
I thought you said chemo apologist.
No, when I'm a Kim apologist, connecting to her, even if she wasn't the best model, just being like, oh my gosh, she's different. And it's those like queer moments in America's Next Top Model that really stand out to me.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
Especially, and we all grew up in the Midwest in small towns. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, Northern Illinois, and I know I'm going to drop a big bomb, but believe it or not, Northern Illinois was not that progressive.
Right.
What?
I know it's so hard to believe.
I know.
You're hearing it here first.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I was always so into the queer community, and I always talk like kids nowadays. You guys need to appreciate the resources and everything that's available to you.
Yeah.
That if you're interested in something, that you can Google it on Wikipedia and you have a wealth of knowledge about it. I loved drag queens growing up, and really all I had was Some Like It Hot, RuPaul, and I would rent like Hedwig and the Angry Inch and watch it over and over in my parents' basement in high school. And ANTM was really one of the only shows that you really could see drag queens.
And on network television too.
Exactly.
I was gonna say, it was on
like if it
major
wasn't
network.
me like renting Hedwig and the Angry Inch and Paris is Burning from my local library and watching it, there really wasn't anything. And I remember like my sister and we used to listen to Johnny McGovern, who hosts Hey Queen. He used to host a podcast, and we would listen, and a lot of drag queens from the House of Aviance were on it, and we were so obsessed with them. And in season 2, there's a few drag queens who come over to teach the girls how to walk, and one of them was Kevin Aviance. And I just remember being like so excited at the fact of like someone who I really, really liked, and I could see them interacting on just being themselves and in real life just was the coolest thing to me, because there was no Drag Race. There wasn't anything.
No.
These people, I almost felt like they were figments of my imagination, because I knew about them, I admired them, but there was I didn't know anything about their real lives or anything about how they performed or anything. And seeing them on a show was amazing, and being into the like NY Club Kids, seeing James St. James, seeing that it was so amazing to be able to be seeing these people and seeing them interact on a show, even if it was a 5-minute clip in an episode. Having something when you're really interested in a culture and you have absolutely very limited resources to expand your interest in that culture. And we're all people, when we're interested in something, we
go full throttle.
Right. We learn everything about them.
Right.
And having no resources available when you want to do that is hard. So like it meant a lot having ANTM when you wanted to be with a certain group of people who growing up, and we all felt different growing up.
Oh yeah.
No one ever shared the same interests as me growing up.
Right.
So watching the show and seeing that there was another world out there, whether it being New York or LA or even Chicago, it meant a lot to me
because there was there was also Benny Ninja. I was
Benny
introduced.
Ninja,
Oh my gosh, yes.
I was introduced to Raven and Peppermint before they were on Drag Race.
And Raja.
Oh yeah, and Raja. Oh yeah,
Raja.
Oh my God. Yeah,
so you have all these Ru girls in America's Next Top Model, and speaking of Ru, it's kind of funny because you watch America's Next Top Model and then you watch RuPaul's Drag Race, and you can so similar.
Well, even Matthew Anderson. Was a makeup artist on ANTM.
Yep.
And now he directs a lot of. I was watching an old RuPaul's Drag Race episode the other day, and they were directing a music video, and I was like, it was the music video for.
Was it season 3?
Born Naked. this
Oh, yeah.
We're all born.
and Matthew Anderson was directing it. And
Yeah.
Matthew Anderson was, I mean, he's a brilliant makeup artist, and he was a makeup artist on ANCM.
So it's funny, kind of the overlap of
Yeah,
reality
there's a
television
lot of
shows
shows,
yeah.
and the queerness in both of the shows
Because
too.
the fashion industry and the queer community, I mean, they
It's
go
hand in
hand in
hand.
hand.
Yeah.
So it's interesting when
really
you have these
cool.
like homophobic girls on
It's
the
like,
show,
do
and
you
you're just
know
like,
what you're getting
do you know?
yourself into?
Like, yeah,
Right,
like
exactly. They were surrounded by makeup artists, hairstylists.
right. Like the fashion industry is kind of gay adjacent. Like
Right.
you're
Oh,
gonna,
absolutely.
it's part of queer culture.
Right.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, even regardless of the fact that, like, obviously queer representation was a great benefactor for America's Next Top Model, but there's also great representation in, like, I hate the term plus size model, but, like,
Right.
you had Robin from the
Right off
first
the bat,
season.
season one.
Right off the bat, you had Takara, you had Whitney. Like, I don't know, it's just, like, there's so many things of, like, body positivity that was also included back then. Granted, yes, it was a little bit dated.
Well, you have a lot of body positivity,
Yeah.
and then you also have a lot of body critiquing.
Right.
So it's
Right.
it's an interesting like balance of okay, they're critiquing these girls, but then you're also like, well, it is a fashion show, so it's all
Right.
about visual
Right.
representation. How do we go from here?
Right.
But it does not only plus size women. You also have a lot of. It's super diverse when it comes to its racial casting.
Oh
Right.
yeah, like I think like every other girl was like a girl of color who won. I think.
Oh, definitely,
Almost,
yeah.
you know, yeah. Because I mean, I will say this: a lot of reality TV shows, it tends to be a lot of white males who win.
Oh, definitely.
Looking at you, American Idol.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So it's just like being able to see like girls from so many different backgrounds who look all very different from each other
Very
win the
different, yeah.
competition. Like it was really nice to see. Now,
Yeah.
Granted, I obviously know that it's a reality TV show, and Tyra obviously is the storybook teller of this TV show.
Oh yeah.
And we'll get into that in just a second, but like, I don't know. It definitely had a lot going for it that I feel like its effect is still relevant today on
Totally.
TV.
I think it was way before its time. And I was reading a Refinery 29 article about...
Oh my god, you read those too?
Yeah,
Yes.
oh, absolutely. My cousin works for them. I was reading an article about Takara and how they said that Ashley Graham is living the career that Takara Jones deserved. And I totally agree. I feel
Yeah.
like Takara was way before her time. And I wish that she kind of had more of an online presence now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like she really could still explode. And
Well, that's the problem too, is that America's Next Top Model was going on when social media was not a thing.
right,
No.
the heyday of America's Next Top Model was going on when social media
right.
didn't exist.
Right.
And because then it kind of got more social media focused when you were voting, but I really wasn't
But no
watching,
one
the
was
show.
watching the show.
But I mean, that's the thing we were kind of talking about. I was watching when Sarah got eliminated on season 2.
Yeah.
And she was just beside herself, so upset when she was eliminated. But I feel like, and I was thinking, I'm like, would I be that upset if I got eliminated off the show? It's like back then, yes, because really that was really your only shot
Right.
of becoming famous. Like just kind of with like the Flavor of Love shows and everything.
Yeah.
People went on
That
those
was
shows.
your 15 minutes.
That was your only shot.
Right. Yeah.
If your only talent was being attractive, that was really your only shot.
Why are you
Now-
looking at me when you say that?
Exactly.
It's fine. 'Cause if that was it, I'd be talentless.
But like, if your only talent is being attractive, if there was no Instagram that you
Yeah.
could make a living off of selling flat tummy tea and all this stuff.
Definitely.
That was your only shot.
Right, like
And-
these days, like if America's Next Top Model was like had Instagram and Twitter and things like that, Takara would be huge. Like,
Yeah, definitely. She'd be an influencer or
Well,
something.
yeah.
and even like, I mean, everyone's like an Instagram model now, but even Winnie Harlow was discovered on
Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah.
So now that the show's kind of taken a different realm, it's very
interesting. Well,
interesting.
yeah, like the more recent winners, like Niall DeMarco and Winnie didn't win, but like these are two very
But she
prominent.
ran with it, and
Right.
everyone
Right.
knows Winnie Harlow. She was
Right.
in Beyonce's music video. She's
Yeah.
been in.
I have the lip gloss. She just collaborated with Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's with
Yeah,
Kim
oh, that's
Kardashian.
right.
So
Yeah.
it's just like it's sad that those girls back then didn't have that opportunity, because I bet
Right.
a lot of them actually would have been famous in a way.
Oh, totally.
Because one of the jokes of America's Next Top Model is the fact that no winner actually went on to be famous. But I bet you anything, if we
Right.
had social media,
They would
a
have been.
lot of them would.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a different time.
Well, I told you, too, that I met Dakara last year.
Yes.
Oh, it was so cool. Did I tell you that story?
No.
Yeah, she came to the movie theater. She was an actress in one of the movie theaters, or one of the movies that they were, like, doing a festival for. And I was serving a whole bunch of people, and then I look up, and she's standing right in front of me. And by the way, like, she looks great. Like, I was starstruck. I was in the back texting Jill a million miles an hour. I'd be like, oh my God, Jill, I just met Dakara.
No, Josh texted me, he's like, I think Dakara Jones is at the bar. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then I was like, you have to find out. And he's like, she just opened a tab, and I looked down at her card, and it's Dakara Jones.
Yeah. Did you like write next to it, just like, you're doing great since you lost?
Oh my God. No, but it was the very first time I actually had courage enough to actually go up to her and say something. Because you know how I get around, like, D-reality TV stars.
Yes.
Like, I'm always just like... like
I've seen you in front of Tam France, and you also giggled like that.
I've seen you in front of our friend Andy
Heron. Yeah.
Are you familiar with an Andrew Heron?
But yeah, I actually went up to Takara after she closed her tab, and I looked at her. I was just like, I just want to let you know that I've watched you since I was a little kid on TV, and you were so great. And I just have to say, it was really nice serving you tonight, and blah, blah, blah. And she was just like, oh my...
I didn't know the restraining order was
yeah. But it was nice, because she was just like, oh my God, thank you.
That's
like,
cool.
Yeah, like, she was just like, thank you. Like, what's your name? And
she's like, what do you mean since you were a little kid? I'm not old.
But it was really cool to see, and that's probably one of my favorite, like, celebrity encounters, I guess.
Now that we're talking about it, has anyone else met anyone from an ANTM?
I've never met anyone from ANTM.
Well, actually, don't you know someone personally?
Well, I know a couple people. So Cycle 13 was the short season, and my friend from high school, Erin Wagner, was on
the blonde
show. Yes,
which is so funny.
Oh my God!
When you look at the episodes, this is like Spring Grove, Illinois. Yeah. And it's like, ah!
Yeah.
She was very competitive.
Yes,
I liked her
she definitely
a lot.
was. And Erin, I mean, that's exactly how she was growing up. She's tough.
She also pushed you in a Walmart?
Yes, no. No one's gonna. You know,
it was a Myers.
Yeah, and I shop at Target, by the way.
Yeah.
No, it was funny because when we were graduating high school, she just disappeared the last month of high school, and we're like, where is Erin? And it's funny because at our senior superlative, she won Most Likely to Become America's Next Top Model. So it was funny, and like she was on it.
Yeah.
She was billed third, I think. She
made it really far.
girl did her thing. I also knew before I transferred to university. I did 2 years at a community college, and I went to community college with Monique from I think season 15 or 14.
Monique.
She's from Hebron, Illinois.
Why do I not remember her?
She's tall, dark hair. She was like the bombshell, they called her.
Monique?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
You went to college with her?
I went to community college with her.
Monique?
And everyone knows and I think this is why. I've never smoked a full cigarette in my life, and she would always ask me if I wanted to go outside with her and smoke some cancer.
Oh, a cigarette.
Yeah, and
sin stick.
And it always made me so uncomfortable, and I think I have her to thank for never developing that habit.
Thank you, Monique.
Whatever happened to Monique?
I don't know whatever happened to her.
Lung
I think
cancer,
maybe
probably.
Yeah.
Poor Monique. But also, I was out
she's in an ad, like an anti-smoking campaign.
And she's right across from ISIS.
Oh my God. No, she's like the marble girl.
Yeah.
Across from ISIS.
Oh, that's funny.
But I also ran into Jocelyn, the winner of Cycle 8.
Yeah.
She's from Pilsen.
Oh, yeah.
And, I ran into her.
I loved her.
Yeah, she's
great.
Beautiful.
She was so cute.
Like, clocked her, and because at first I was like, who is she? Like, she is so pretty. And I was like, oh my God, it's
Didn't she say that she was raised by drag queens? On her season?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
And she was like the cha-cha girl. I loved her.
I love her. And she's really nice in person. She's beautiful in person. Like, we talked for a couple minutes, and yeah, that was really exciting.
Oh my God, I wish I was there.
Yeah.
I would have been crying. I'd be like, oh my God!
She's beautiful. She looks exactly the same as she did on the show.
Yes.
So that's fun.
Anyway. Sorry, we got a little off topic here.
But I mean, it's always
America's
fun.
Next Top Model's legacy is obviously brilliant and
Yes.
but
There's a lot of things that have not aged well.
Yes.
Right.
You know, we've talked a little bit about certain things, but like when we were talking about the plus size models and we
Yeah.
talk about body image,
Right.
let's talk about maybe things that are kind of body shaming moments on the show's history.
right, there's a lot actually.
Yeah, I mean, even starting on season 1 where the personal trainer comes in and weighs the girls,
Mm-hmm.
and he says everyone's weight
Out loud.
out
Yeah.
loud to all the girls, and I know Robin was cringing,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "Well, let's shave off." I mean, what every girl does, like let's shave off 5 or 10 pounds off of that, and everything. I mean, everyone does. Everyone adds to their height and subtracts from their weight.
Right.
But it's like that is awful. No matter what size you are,
Right.
or how much you weigh, to have that vocalized to a group of people. But I guess it's the modeling industry, but. Still, like,
I wish
that's
the
so
modeling
upsetting.
agent, like, I wish it would change a little bit. I feel like it kind of is, because you're getting a lot more, like, trans models, just, like, queer representation kind of happening. Different bodies, I should say.
Yeah.
Where you're not just having, like, super thin cisgendered women.
Right.
You're having all kind of bodies, people with different different abilities, like
Right.
like differently able
and
people,
disabilities, like
and
Al
disabilities.
DeMarco.
Well, yeah. I was just trying to think of like how what a PC version of that would be. Is it okay? Is it PC to say disabilities?
Well, I mean, he does have a disability. He's deaf.
I know, but is there like a I don't know, like if people
I think
still
it's,
say
people
it's
say
still okay,
differently abled,
differently
or
abled,
something.
yeah, so he's differently abled or whatnot.
Yeah. Sure.
So I think like it is changing, but some of those early episodes where they're just like they're saying that Elise is anorexic,
Yeah.
because she's too thin
bulimic.
and bulimic, and
I mean, we can go. I can write
Cassie.
a short novel about the things that Janice Dickinson has said.
Oh my God.
But-
well, let's get into it. Let's talk about Janice
Right,
Dickinson,
and, I
one
mean,
of the
Janice
judges.
Dickinson, judge. Just how I'm the self-proclaimed Princess of Boys Town.
Yeah.
She is the self-proclaimed world's first supermodel.
Right.
And she was immediately about Robin, about too fat. She shouldn't be in here. And she
Too old.
loved Elise.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just how we said that we love to research things that we're into. I read a little tidbit about Janice and Elise's relationship, because Janice
Really?
loved Elise because Janice loved the traditional model.
Like
Yeah.
stick thin.
Stick
The
thin,
wafer,
the
like-
waif light, and just
Big eyes,
just
soft
exactly
features. Yeah.
everything. She just loved Elise because she thought Elise was really just the person who, if anyone was going to be America's Next Top Model in Janice's eyes, it was going to be Elise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that at every elimination, Janice would make eye contact with Elise and wink at her. And that's when Elise would know, okay, I'm safe. And
Oh.
Elise knew when there was Adrian, Shannon, and Elise left. Spoiler alert! I'm
Right.
gonna
No,
say
it's-
that
it's 2003.
Yeah, it's almost 20 years old. Watch it. So, but it's like but when it was Shannon, Elise, and Adrian, when they walked into that elimination ceremony, Janice looked at Elise and shook her head no. And Elise
So she knew.
I was going home.
That makes sense because when you watch, Elise looks like she's pretty composed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like she's pulled herself
She knew. together.
She knew. And that makes a lot of sense. You're
Yeah.
spilling the hot tea
I
on
know,
this
I love
podcast.
this, yeah.
You know what? Cold tea is still tea.
It's 20 years old, but it's still cold
but
tea.
it's still tea. So yeah, that's how. But that was Janice's relationship with Elise, and you can tell that Janice had her favorite. She loved Mercedes. in
She
season
loved
2.
Mercedes.
She loved Mercedes, and I honestly
She hated Takara.
Yeah, she hated Takara, and I honestly feel like she didn't like Joanna because Joanna did lose a lot of weight, and Joanna wasn't the stick thin model. I mean, in average sizing, she was very thin, but in that world, she was on the heavier side.
Do you remember that episode where they are in Italy and they're all getting fitted for outfits?
Yes.
And Joanna tries on
Has
this
the-
outfit and she has like the tiniest little bit of like back roll.
Yeah,
like
like
hanging
a
out.
muffin top.
Right.
Back rolls.
Right. Back rolls. Alyssa Edwards, pre-Alyssa Edwards, just like
Right.
back rolls. Yeah. And I just remember like Joanna was just like so hard on herself. She's just like, oh my God, like I lost so much weight, but clearly it wasn't enough. I'm not going to win and yada yada. I'm just like, she lost like over 50 pounds
Right.
just to be in that competition alone. And like the amount of like pressure that must have put on her just because She had a little bit of a muffin top hanging
She's
over.
a normal person.
Right.
Hey, my muffin top is all that low. You know that from 30 Rock?
No.
My muffin top is all that whole grain and low fat. I know you want a piece of that, but I just want to dance.
Okay, mood.
That's from 30 Rock. Anyways, so we have all this like very harsh critiquing of women's bodies, and
Do you also remember that plus size girl who actually got eliminated because she was starting to lose weight from the stress of the competition? And they're like, "You're not plus size enough anymore. We're sending you home."
Who was that?
That was Sarah from Cycle 9.
Tall girl?
No, she was just in the same season as like Celicia, the girl with the bowl
Yeah.
cut
Yeah.
before. Yeah, she was a plus size model. She was like already like kind of like on the thinner side of the models.
so she was just not thin enough and not
She
curvy
was not
enough.
thin enough
Oh,
or
yeah,
not
yeah.
curvy enough to be categorized. And so the judges were just
You
like,
just look her up.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the judges were just like, we can't really define you, so you're going home.
See, I hate that. I
Yeah.
hate. I mean,
Yes.
I think it should be a good thing when you can't define someone's body or beauty or image, because it makes
Right.
them unique. It makes them interesting, and it shouldn't be such like harsh black and white standards between
Right.
the two.
Well, that's a kind of something that's been brought up in a lot of critiques though throughout the show is, hey, you're not thin enough to be a model, but you're not heavy enough to be a plus size model.
Right.
So when you're in that kind of gray area, they can't pigeonhole you, and I feel like that's a lot of what they're looking for.
And in
Right.
other like reality competition shows, if they can't pigeonhole you, that's a good thing.
Right.
But in
True.
this, they want you to fall into their standards.
Well, it's
Right.
more of Tyra just wants you to follow a storyline that she wants to produce for you.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah.
I mean, we watched this growing up, and we were like young kids. Do you think it's like watching this kind of thing affected us in any way? I don't think me personally, like kind of like a body image thing. Like, I mean, I was always a fat kid, so like I didn't really care, but I'm thinking of like all like the girls I know that were also really into it.
Yeah.
Like, Jill, do you think that you watching
Yeah.
this, it like made you critique yourself even harsher?
Absolutely, because when I was growing up, I was the girl who was in that gray area.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, it's like, okay, well, I'm not really thin,
Right.
but I'm not plus size. And it's kind of like, where do I fit in? Like, it's weird being in that gray area when no one can define you. And most women are in that gray area.
Yeah.
I was gonna say most
And-
people fall into that.
And that's what's hard though, when you really can't, because especially growing up, you want to put a label on yourself because you're trying to get to know yourself. And when you don't have something that's defining, I'm not plus size, I'm not skinny. Well, then what am I? Because you're constantly trying to
You're
figure
Jill.
out. God.
Shut up.
A toast
No,
to
see,
finding ourselves.
but that's my thing. Is like I want a show where people are just you're just beautiful, but it doesn't matter like your physical, like it's physical to a certain extent,
Right.
because
Right.
obviously it's a visual element of beauty,
Right.
Yeah.
But there's so many different kinds of what beauty could be considered to be.
And I think now there is.
Yeah.
But I feel like back then,
Oh, yeah,
we
no.
wanted to categorize. We wanted to put things into categories so that we knew how to describe somebody.
There was a lot of
But-
things that probably would not fly today on America's Next Top
Right.
Model. Yeah.
But I have noticed as I've gotten older and my perception and my beauty standards have changed. We were watching season 3 and we were showing Cassie.
Yeah.
Who I was saying when I was a kid, I thought Cassie was like the epitome of beauty because she's blonde hair, blue eyes, skinny, everything. I'm like, she's stunning.
The European model.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you are just everything. But now when I watch the first season, I see someone like Ebony. I'm like, you are so beautiful. Like
Yeah.
you've a shaved head, you're a woman of color, you're everything. And I'm just like, you're stunning to me. Or Jade from season 6. I was
Yes.
like, your face is
Nick.
ridiculous. Nick, just everything. And it's like those growing up, I think I was used to, you have to be light skinned, you have to have light hair, you have to have light eyes, you have to be stick thin, and that's what's beautiful.
Right.
Now, like, I think Mercedes is one of the most beautiful
Oh my
women who's
God,
ever been on
April.
the show. April's one of the most beautiful women ever on the show.
Yeah.
It's exactly
Yeah.
stunning women. And I feel like that's kind of, as I've matured, I have different
So
standards.
Tyra was able to give like a platform for women of color, but it also there's been some critiques of certain photo shoots.
Oh my God,
that
yeah.
have not aged well,
It's
whatsoever.
funny too because like you
Let's
could
get
tell,
into it.
You could tell Tyra's like heart is in the right place because she wants to like show off the beauty of women of different colors and show that like
But
diversity
she goes
is beautiful.
straight to
but blackface.
Blackface. Yeah, I was like, just say it, blackface.
She does, and it's in 2 different seasons.
It is,
too.
yeah. It's an
Right.
early season and the petite season.
It's in season 4. They do a Got Milk commercial, and
Right.
the women are posing with babies of different colors, and they're also posing in different ethnicities to match that. So you have like a young European white girl dressing up as like an Eskimo, like an
Right.
Eskimo heritage, and they
Yeah.
like darken her skin, and like they have her with a child of color. And then in season 13, they did Hapas, which Hapa means half and half in Hawaiian.
In Hawaiian,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that basically, like, they would do biracial models. So they'd be, like, half Egyptian, half Russian. But
half
they're-
Greek and half Mexican.
Right.
But it's all these white girls. Because the end of the petite season, it was mostly
What was
all
her
white
name?
girls,
Jen.
right?
She was Asian.
Jennifer was
was Asian.
Asian,
Yeah.
and Sunday, which
Sunday
I think
was
is such
black.
a funny name.
Yeah.
Well, it was like Sunday was black and then Jennifer was Asian, but the rest of the top girls were
Yeah, but
Yeah, it was
white.
Erin.
yeah, but I think like Jennifer was like she was portrayed as like Botswana and like Wahili or something like that, which is like not traditional East Asian cultures at all.
In the show, Botswana was spelled BATSWANA. Batswana.
Batswana.
So,
She's
American
from this,
Idol.
like, exotic country, Batswana.
America's Next Top Model, rather. Not great at geography.
Yeah.
Right.
Or maybe racial sensitivity.
Yeah,
I
Rachel
just-
says.
Sensitivity. I
It's
just...
like, do we...
They thought it was smart because there is a fine line between like doing something that you think is honoring and creative and cool
Well, it's
and
like
doing
artistic
something
license.
artistic license. But
Yeah.
then it's like, but this is also not good. Like
Right.
you can
How is
honor
How is it not blackface?
right, and it's like how do you not see and you would think Tyra as a black woman would know that or have the producers bring that to her and be like, hey Tyra, we want to do this, and
Well,
she's
she
like,
did actually apologize for it, but she apologized it a year later on her talk show.
And it
Really?
also was kind of a non-apology.
Yeah.
It was like, I apologize to everyone or anyone I offended, or if I offended you. It's kind of like,
Yeah, one of
sorry
those,
I
like, half.
offended you, or
Right.
like, sorry what I said offended you. It's like, that's
Right. Well, I'm sorry you
not-
feel that way.
Yeah, exactly. That's not
Yeah.
really an apology.
Right.
But
I mean, it's Tyra. Like, I really
right,
wouldn't
it's
expect.
Tyra.
Yeah.
But how do we feel about Xiomara season 2 when they were doing photo shoots of iconic women, and Xiomara was I think to give an example, like Shandy was Nicole Kidman,
Yeah.
Mercedes was Billie Holiday, and Xiomara was given Grace Jones.
Yeah.
And Xiomara is a woman of color, but she's light skinned, and Grace is dark skinned.
Yeah.
And they painted Xiomara's skin to be darker.
Right.
How do we feel about that?
See, the problem with
I almost don't want to comment on it because I am white.
Right.
And I
Right.
feel like it's very hard for me because like I don't know because I'm not a person of color.
right.
I don't know
Well,
how I
was
would
gonna say
feel.
the problem that I have is also because of that. Like, I don't know this like the connotations of a light skinned black girl versus a darker skinned black girl, like portraying her in any sort of way. So I don't know how to comment on that.
Right.
I think if your initial gut feeling is, ooh, this feels uncomfortable,
Right.
Probably
I feel
that's the
I
answer.
felt uncomfortable about it just because Xiomara didn't want to be Grace Jones. She was looking at all these people and saying like, oh, I want to be super feminine like Nicole Kidman or Billie Holiday or Audrey Hepburn, and she did not want to be Grace Jones. And that is so funny to me of someone, when you're in the queer community, like Grace Jones is such this amazing
Iconic.
icon.
Yeah.
And like anyone would be flattered if someone said, I want you to embody Grace Jones. I would be like, where do I sign up? Because
Right.
she's such an amazing person.
and I feel like you can
guess,
be
right.
able to do Grace Jones or do other celebrities or icons of color and not paint blackface.
Right.
Right.
Like-
The thing
like
is, if you're
Tyra
gonna
could have
change
done
my
things-
genetic makeup to make me look like someone else, I feel like that's too much. Because then I think about it, I'm just like, well, what if someone asked me to be like a Japanese icon whatsoever, and then they had to like change my facial structure just to do that? I'm just like, why can't I just be a Korean person? You know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
Or,
Like-
or like if if they're going to do like in the is it the Hopa?
Yeah.
Hapa. If they do the Hapa episode, why are we darkening their skin color as
Right.
opposed to like you could have done
Rather
you
through
know,
the fashion.
Through the fashion.
Right.
It's a
Is that
modeling
cultural
show.
appropriation, though?
Oh, that's true.
Or
If
is it
you're putting
appreciation?
someone-
Because
Okay.
that's that fine line
Right.
of like,
Well, I
if
feel like
you're
that's what
giving
Tyra
credit,
thought it was.
she thought it was one thing. Because if
Right.
you're giving credit to these cultures, we don't own this, but we want to display this.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe put people on the show that are of that culture. But since she didn't, the best other option would not to be put people in blackface.
know.
Like that's just not. It's icky. It's
Yeah.
just not
Weird.
good.
It's a very, very fine line.
Yeah.
And I don't know, anything with doing that, I mean, and as a white person, it just makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And and obviously I can't speak for anyone, a person of color, but coming from my opinion, it makes me uncomfortable.
Yes. Another thing I wanted to bring up that was a little bit problematic going on to, we were just talking about like how progressive the show was with showing a transgender contestant with
Of ISIS.
Another thing I forgot to mention too, the first season of the Boys and Girls season, it was a really touching moment. There was this contestant named Verge, and she showed up on the show, and she was another transgender contestant. And she was like talking and I auditioning to Tyra, and she's just like, and when you had ISIS on, and she starts crying, she's just like, that made me feel so good about myself.
Yeah.
And she's like, I actually started transitioning after I
Wow.
watched it because I realized that I needed to start living in the body that I was meant to be.
The importance of representation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
She actually went on to leave the show because she actually realized that she was actually not healthy enough to be on the show, which is her great decision for her. That being said, weirdly enough, the show also have had a lot of transphobic comments throughout the years.
Right.
Like when they say to the girls, oh, you look like a drag queen.
Right.
Or, I'm actually going to pause the podcast for just a second because I wanted to include this audio clip from a season 10 episode.
Okay.
That is really hard for me to listen to, and I'm going to start playing it now.
Not with Nigel.
This is the softest one.
This is a transvestite. I'm sorry. And you're a beautiful tranny.
Dominic, you have to be very careful with your face and with the bones of your face. I can look tranny sometimes in pictures. I can. I have a face that can take a lot of makeup. So makeup artists get really excited and they're like, I look in the mirror and I see Tyrone. So I'm not gonna pose like and hard and stuff. I like soften it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hard to listen to in this day and age.
Right.
Yeah. And
But it also makes me appreciate how far we've come.
Oh, yeah.
That if I saw that on the television now, I would be...
Oh, Tyra would be canceled.
Audibly gasp.
Yeah.
I mean, I was stunned watching it, but
well, like you said, it's a total time capsule.
it really is.
Like the
Yeah.
whole show is a time capsule. It's
Yeah.
not really like
It's a great like window into like what pop culture was in 2008. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I have a kind of quote to go along with what Dominique they were talking about, and Miss J, who is a queer person, kind of mentioned to Dominique about how masculine her features are.
Yeah.
And they said, I don't know what Miss J's pronouns are, but
I think she actually goes by he or she.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, he said that's why they call it cover girl, to cover up the man in you.
Oh my god. Oh.
Just like, whoa.
well, you know, like the cover. So the joke cover girl to cover boy, and then Willem.
Oh, did
Your
it come
other we are not Willem's podcast,
Right.
Race Chaser, but Willem has his whole makeup line now,
Right.
or her old makeup line, and it's Cover Boy,
Right.
and it's from that comment.
Yes.
Really?
So it's yeah.
Wow.
Which I
heard the makeup's great though.
I did hear. I love the colors.
Long lasting glitter.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it's interesting, and even though there's these
Actually, sorry, I just remembered something. Do you remember the first season with the boys and girls on it, and there was an openly gay contestant named Corey on it? I actually watched the season.
yeah, and it was the one guy that was uncomfortable with him being gay, right?
No. Well,
Who are you
actually,
thinking of?
I don't know what you're
And then
thinking.
Tyra was like, why are you uncomfortable? You're going to be working in the fashion industry with a
Yes,
bunch of gay
that
men.
was
different.
Denzel
That
and
was
Will.
Denzel.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, that was a great episode, which we will get to in a second. But
Yes.
Corey was more of a feminine presenting male.
Okay.
Like a cis male, but like to be presenting more female. And he said that throughout the show. He's just like, oh, this is how I express myself. This is how I want to be as a model. And the judges were so harsh to him because they're just like, you're not going to be a male supermodel because you pose too much like a girl and things like that. And there have been comments by Kelly Catrone saying you look like a lesbian in this photo shoot and things like that. There's one episode where Corey had to dress up more masculine. He had to pretend to be like from a trailer park. Mm-hmm. And in the episode, the male judge at the time, I can't remember his name, but he was just like, you look straight in this photo. No, you look like a man in this photo. That's really great for you, man. And Tyra's just like, no, he doesn't. He is a man. He looks straight in this photo. That's what she meant. And it's just like, and I know, it's just like, oh my God. And that actually wasn't that long ago.
No, that was
not
recent.
At all.
No, and it's just like, oh God.
Right. But what you were saying with Denzel and Will, the quote was from Will, and they did Will dirty with that lace front beard.
They knew, they knew
No,
he was going to be
that's
bad,
Denzel.
though.
Oh, excuse me, Denzel. They did Denzel dirty with that lace front beard.
We'll post a picture of the lace front beard on our Instagram story.
Funny.
It is
Because
so
it is
not okay, because he's
so bad.
so handsome, and it is so not okay.
Oh, he's so handsome.
But Denzel says, I'll have to go home and explain to my friends that a man in heels beat me in this competition.
Yeah.
And that kind of shows, and that's also something that a prime example of what gay men have to go through, of that some straight men will view them as less of a man because they're gay.
Mm-hmm. It's toxic masculinity.
Exhibit A. And so it's embarrassing that a man in heels beat you. Why?
Well, that's
you just weren't that good then.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
exactly.
That's what Tyra's trying to say. Like
Right.
when she called him out, she's just
Yeah.
like, "Why does that matter?"
Exactly. Which I was like really happy that the fact that she said that, and that's the thing. Tyra, I do want to say she's an ally.
Oh, yeah.
I think her heart's in the right place.
And I think she
just
and we
cuckoo
have to give her the
pants.
benefit of the doubt of this was. I mean, we've progressed so much in the past 5 years. We're just
now on the dawn of transgender rights.
exactly, and like we've progressed so much. Like we spent so many years being stagnant.
Yeah.
And nothing in society was really progressing.
Yeah.
And
there's this huge push forward.
exactly.
So I feel like she's on the right side
And she's
now,
always defended
but
because
it's
there have been those people. There was a girl, I think it was season 4 or 5, and she was just coming on basically just for the shock value of, I'm a Republican, I don't like Muslim people, I don't like gay people, I don't like this. And it's like, okay, we know you want to be on TV, but that's not the way to do it. But like
take
Tyra,
Jill's acting classes.
Exactly.
You'll get there.
well, you know what? Honestly, maybe she'll just get like a correspondent gig on Fox News.
Yeah, right. It was Megyn Kelly, actually. I'm just joking. It was Tommy
Bombshell.
but she, Tyra said to her, like, do you know the type of, what industry you're getting into?
Yeah.
And who you're going to see every single day? It's gay people. And if you don't like them, then you probably shouldn't be in this realm.
And she was like, but I fear the queer, y'all.
And then she like points to the camera.
On Spotify.
It's on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts.
Well, the thing is with Tyra is that, like, granted, I always give her the benefit of the doubt because I do think she actually is a great ally, and I think she has a very great support system, and she's given a platform to so many different types of minorities all across the board. I just think Tyra is a little insane.
She's cuckoo pants.
She's a crazy person.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to give her an excuse, but I do think that's part of the reason why some of the things that she said kind of come off really problematic, because she just is trying to do it for an effect.
Right.
And when you've been in like the modeling industry since 17, you're going to have a skewed sense of what reality is.
Right.
That's
So if her reality can lean in the way of progression in any sense, that's a positive, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, definitely. And I also feel like it's going to be hard to really stay in reality, because doing the comparisons to Drag Race, I mean, you're in the power of launching so many people's careers.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to give you some skew of reality where people are idolizing you.
Oh yeah, you
And-
walk into a room and girls are screaming.
And if they don't scream loud enough, you'll walk back in and they
and
scream
the
louder.
producers, yeah, and the producers tell you need to scream louder.
Right. And to
So-
have that power over the girls, like
that's, I mean, I couldn't imagine.
right.
Oh, I
my
could.
ego would be
No.
I could
I would love
because I
it.
convinced myself that I am
Delusion.
so amazing. Exactly. But imagine if you actually were.
when in reality it's the video of you walking onto Ellen. It's like Brittany walking to Ellen and it's like dead silent.
Exactly. But I mean, that's basically how it was, and that's
Yeah.
how Tyra is. I mean, she's a crazy person, but we love her.
So I definitely think that the pros outweigh the cons, don't you think?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
But I feel like the show is definitely, though, edited in Tyra's favor because
yeah.
it's Tyra's show. I mean, if we want to talk about the iconic Tiffany, And
Oh my God, yes.
Showdown.
We gotta. Even people who don't watch the show know this meme-worthy moment.
Right.
Like, it's pretty.
And, I mean, kind of a backstory. Tiffany, we kind of touched on it earlier. Tiffany she auditioned in season 3.
Yeah.
And Tiffany kind of came from kind of hard upbringing. She came from a very poor family. She
lived with her grandma, right?
She lived with her grandma. She was a single mom, really young, 21-year-old woman. And so she was coming in kind of the American dream, following her dream. And she kind of told the story of how, you needed a swimsuit for this competition. And her grandma bought the swimsuit. And that was kind of their extra money. And like the lights turned off.
Yeah.
Because she chose buying the swimsuit to get Tiffany in the competition over than paying the electricity that month. So, I mean, that's how tight everything was. And that was the upbringing that Tiffany came from. And she was very angsty and very angry. And she got into a fight in the bar. And they eventually didn't let her pass the preliminary round of ANTM when she was auditioning in season 3 because of that, because she was violent. But then Tyra, I think, took a liking to her and really wanted... I mean... I'm not gonna lie, probably saw a storyline in Tiffany.
Oh, yeah.
It's an underdog story.
Yes, and this
Someone
is the
to root
American
for.
dream. This is someone, you're coming from nothing, and I'm gonna give you an opportunity to really make something of yourself and live your dreams. So she brought her back season 4.
Yep.
And Tiffany was actually, I liked Tiffany. There was a few kind of weird things. For example, when Michelle in season 4 came out as bisexual.
Oh, yeah.
Michelle came out, it's all for a full circle here.
Right, I know.
Fear
It's
the
like,
Queer.
what? I know.
Michelle came out to Noelle.
Yeah.
And when Michelle was coming out, because Michelle was kind of having a hard time, she was breaking down and she was kind of going through something, and Noelle talked to her and said, like, what's kind of going on?
Yeah.
And Michelle said, well, I have a secret, and I didn't know if I tell you guys, will you guys think of me differently? I'm hiding something. And she's like, what are you hiding? She's like, well, I'm actually bisexual. And Tiffany, and I can't remember what her name was. Brandy.
Yes.
I was going to say Bianca. Brandy were listening outside the door. And I mean,
Yes.
thinking about someone coming out and then someone's like listening to it all, that makes me uncomfortable. But so they were coming out, and then Tiffany and Brandy kind of walk in and be like, what? Did you say you were gay? Like, what? And so, like, they're talking, and every bisexual girl will go through this, and I've gone through it myself, where when you come out and say that you are in any way attracted to girls, some of the girls will automatically think you're attracted to them.
Yeah.
And it's like, girlfriend, I'm sorry.
You
but...
look like a foot.
Yeah.
You look like Luther Vandross.
You look like Luther Vandross. It's like, I'm sorry, but no. Like, I'm attracted to girls. But
I'm attracted to prettier feet.
But you're not a girl I'm attracted to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so and it's also funny because Adrienne says that season 1 because she's a tomboy and everyone thinks she's a lesbian. And Adrienne, I think it's just to Giselle. Adrienne goes, she's like, if I was a lesbian, do you really think I'd be attracted to you? And it's like, I want to say that to so many women. It's like, no,
Well,
I'm not
you
attracted to
could, like, as you're getting your groceries at the market, you can just look at women and be like,
so do you really think I'm attracted to you?
and they're
like the cashier. Like, I don't know.
They're like,
that'll be $25.72.
We just asked if you wanted a bag or
Did you
not.
want a bag for that for some?
Listen.
If I was a lesbian, you really think I'd be attracted to you?
Your savings today is $10.12.
Do you have a Walgreens card?
Yeah.
But like Michelle is coming out as bisexual, and then Tiffany's like, well, you're gay. She's like, no, I'm bi. And I think that's something that bi people deal with.
A lot, yeah.
Because, exactly. Where it's like, but no, you're gay. No. I'm bi.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something too. But I think Tiffany probably just had never met anyone like that.
Didn't Michelle go on to marry like Johnny Castle, I think?
Did she?
I think she married someone from Survivor.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Reality TV competition.
I actually
romance.
live for that. I love when worlds collide.
Right.
With reality TV worlds collide, yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love that?
That could be a whole nother
It's like
podcast
when,
with us.
The
Yeah.
Flintstones met the Jetsons.
Yes. That's a Raven on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Yeah.
I love a crossover. I love
Me
a
too.
Depends on Hannah Montana. Didn't she show up to that one?
Yeah,
too?
she did too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love a crossover.
Yes.
But When she's coming out, that's kind of what she's dealing with, and that kind of shows how bi people are, what they're going through.
Right.
It's like automatically, so you're attracted to me?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, just like not the whole world's not attracted to you. I'm not either.
Right.
And so shady. But like, no. And no, I'm not gay. I'm bisexual.
Right.
So that's also, I think, is amazing that they put that on. And that's season 4 of the show.
Right.
So we're...
I know. Like, when I think about it, like, I'm actually trying to get defensive of the show. Like, when we're talking about the problematic things, I'm like, yeah, but, like, the show actually did do this. Like,
I
it's
know.
Like,
I mean, I think the pros outweigh the cons. But like I said, that was... So, kind of going back with Tiffany, that's Tiffany's side story. But then... Tiffany goes and... So, Tiffany... gets eliminated from in a dual elimination with Rebecca.
Right.
And it's kind of because they're doing a reading. They're doing a Fashion Week correspondent.
Right.
And Tiffany, they're doing a lot of kind of difficult designers. And growing up, I was really into fashion and like loved reading fashion magazines. So I would always get so frustrated when these models didn't know anything about designers. Like they would read this and they would be like, Christian Loxroy for like Christian
Givenchy.
I know, like they exactly
Luberturns.
Hermes. They'd always, and it's like it's Hermes for one.
Yeah.
But it's like they never knew any of these, and they're not like underground designers. Like this is Christian Lacroix. Like this is a big designer. So they were reading it. None of them knew, and Tiffany was just like, nah, can't do it. Just gave up. And that's
one
so
of my favorite
frustrating.
quotes from that reading is like, "Can you say it's supposed to say magenta?" And Tiffany's like, "Can you say magnetic?"
I know. And it's like, oh my gosh, okay.
Can you say magneta?
But she gets really, really frustrated.
Yeah.
And it goes off the show really defeated. And it's so frustrating because it's like, I couldn't imagine if you were one of the girls who tried out and was so close and didn't get it. And then you see Tiffany
like,
just like
laissez-faire.
She's like each and every week it's something else, like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, you're on a model reality show, like that's what it is. It's also the 4th season, so you've tried out before.
Yeah.
So you know the way the show is. Like, don't make it seem like you don't.
Right. Well, it's the same thing with like any girl on America's, like any reality TV show is just like, the editing was off, or like I wasn't expecting that, so when I go in, it's like, you know what the show is.
You know what the show is.
At the end of the day,
and you were not dropped here. You didn't. You applied.
Right.
The audition.
You had the background check.
It's not, remember that show Room Raiders?
Yes.
Where they would just run into your house and throw you in a van. That did not happen.
They cannot just break into your
As
house.
much as Tyra was like, I think we should do this. She's like, I think we should just run in places and just steal people. They're like, Tyra, we can't.
Shut that down.
Yeah, they're like, and then CW shut them down. So I mean, it kind of makes sense why
the clip of the elimination,
the major meltdown.
Right.
Yes. Well, I'll give you one better.
Oh, okay.
You know, I love a dramatic read.
You do.
I love a dramatic read, and I do one every chance I get.
Wait, are you?
Every morning.
Every morning, the Sugar Ray song. I would love if we reenacted it in our own inimitable way.
Oh, okay.
I play the role of Tyra.
Okay. Can I be Tiffany?
You play the role of Tiffany.
Okay.
Kyle plays the role of the judges.
Well, multiple judges.
Multiple judges.
I am well versed.
And for your multiple personalities.
What are you talking about? Okay.
All right. I mean, if you want to, I'm down.
The Fear the Queer Theater.
Like we're the Fear the Queer Theater.
The first segment of Fear the Queer Theater.
We're the players.
What?
The players.
Okay.
The theater players.
All right.
Like British people.
It's also similar to the acting challenge of season 2 of ANTM.
That's true.
Where they're all crying.
Oh, that's true. All right.
I can't cry.
Walks in and goes, "Oh my god." So yeah, I think.
I mean, should we try it?
I think we should do it.
Okay.
Rebecca, I just want to let you know that I admire your emotion right now. This shows that this really meant something to you. Tiffany, I am extremely disappointed in you. This is a joke to you. You've been through anger management. You've been through your grandmother getting her lights turned off to buy you a swimsuit for this competition. And you go over there and you joke and you laugh. This is serious to these girls, and it should be serious to you.
Looks can be deceiving. I'm hurt. I am. But I can't change it, Tyra.
Yes, you can.
You can't change what?
I'm sick of crying about stuff I cannot change. I'm sick of being disappointed. I'm sick of all of it. I'm not...
You ain't sick of being disappointed, Tiffany. No, you're not. If you were sick of being disappointed, you would stand up and you would take control of your destiny. Do you know that you had a possibility to win? Do you know that all of America is rooting for you? Do you know that? And then you come in here and you treat this like a joke? You come in here and you look at that and say, I can't read that? You read 10 times better than half of those girls over there.
You did.
And you come in here with a defeatist attitude?
I don't have a bad attitude. Maybe I am angry inside. I've been through stuff, so I'm angry.
This is not...
And
Be
so
quiet, Tiffany.
No,
be quiet.
I want
What
to
is
fun
wrong with you?
Stop
Stop it! I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this. When my mother yells like this, it's because she loves me. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you, and how dare you learn something from this? When you go to bed at night, you lay there and you take responsibility for yourself, because nobody's going to take responsibility for you. You roll in your eyes and you act like it's because you heard it all before. You heard it all before. You don't know where the hell I come from. You have no idea what I've been through. But I'm not a victim. I grow from it and I learn. Take responsibility for yourself.
I have chills. That was... I'm gagged.
Oh my god, that was so good.
Literally, I felt like Tyra Banks was here with me.
Your neighbors thought so too.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I ran into my neighbor in the elevator a few weeks ago, and he realized that
You're Tyra Banks?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he realized that he lived next to me, and he goes, "Are you the one I hear singing sometimes?" And I said the biggest lie I've ever told. I go, "No, I never sing." So could you imagine he probably just heard that and he's probably like, what the hell is
that?
I would love if you're
here?
going down in the elevator and you're like, no, I never sing. And they're like, someday my prince will come.
Right.
And I'm like staring him in the eye.
Wow, that was an amazing moment.
That was a great way to end, like, the mega part of this episode, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I think we should... Do you just want to talk about, like, some of your favorite contestants?
Oh my
or,
God,
like,
yeah.
favorite moments of
Tiffany
it?
was one of my favorite moments, and to give everyone a little bit of tea.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, Tiffany was interviewed by BuzzFeed a couple years ago.
Uh-huh.
And, well, okay. And this is funny because this was a chance encounter of we almost met Tyra. Because
that's right.
Summer of 2007,
You almost met Tyra?
Yes,
Yeah.
the summer of 2017 or 16, we were bartending on the tour boats on the Chicago River, and it would get so boring. And we obviously were always talking about A&TM, and we would quote that all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. At the very end of the season, we get a call that on the other boat, Tyra Banks is on it.
And she can hear you.
Oh gosh, I wish.
I wish.
But also,
no, Tyra Banks was on a Wendella
The
boat.
boat, the other
one
boat.
right in front of us.
yeah,
Yeah.
we missed her by like
She
5
could have
minutes.
possibly heard you pretending to be her, though, if you
Well,
think
that's
about
why
it.
I said I was like, we were probably manifesting it all summer, and then she comes. But also, I'm kind of happy I didn't meet her because I probably would have been an idiot and like quoted that to her.
Oh, yeah.
I absolutely.
And we
would've.
looked like shit,
Yeah, like
honestly.
absolute shit.
Yeah, like, because we're like on a sweaty boat.
Yeah.
She's like, you will never be on top.
Yeah.
I know. Oh my gosh. But yeah, we
Two girls stand in front of me.
Yeah.
And I don't have a
and I
single
don't have-
photo.
and I don't have pictures in my hands.
Yeah.
Give me a gin and tonic.
Yeah, exactly. But we read a BuzzFeed article. They interviewed Tiffany, and Tiffany said that we didn't even see like half of what
Right.
Tyra laid into her. Like apparently Tyra got very, very personal and was saying stuff kind of about like her living situation, and was saying like you can go home and you can sleep with your baby on the mattress on the floor and all that stuff. And it's like
Oh.
that is so not okay.
That's low.
For like this
Yeah.
millionaire supermodel to be telling us like, oh gosh, like that's not okay.
No.
But there's a lot of things that kind of go in, and Tiffany at the end of the episode, Tiffany's kind of agreeing with Tyra and saying, like, Tyra really cares about me. But she said that, like, the producers kind of fed that into her and was saying that. And then, like, looking back, Tiffany's like, no. Like,
right. They're like, you have to say those things because they don't want their host, their star, to look bad.
And that's the thing, and how kind of we talked about Instagram and things like that. I mean, with a lot of the show, like, Tyra is there to produce a reality show.
Right.
She's not there to launch people's careers.
No.
It's all like, here's the platform, here's what you do with it. I mean, Adrienne Curry, who's the first winner of ANTM, she said that, like, Revlon flat out told her, we never plan to use anyone from the show.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah, and never got her money, never got paid from Revlon for her supposed contract.
What?
Yeah.
But that was part of the show. That was part of the prize.
Right.
She sent a really mean email to Tyra. They are not on good terms. That's why when you see, like, when they decorate the house and they show, like, former models, like, they quoted Ebony, they quoted all these people.
Oh, yeah.
And Adrienne is the first winner, and Adrienne is never showcased on the show because she kind of laid into Tyra.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a reality show at the end of the day. She's not your agent. She's like that. But it's like, you have to kind of get your connections on your own, which is why
don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Right, but then you also kind of have to use the show and the platform the best
to use
way
it
that
wisely.
you could.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's the thing about Jade. How when we were talking about with her in the Talk, she was an hour and a half late.
Yeah.
But Jade said it was important to me to visit every single designer. And honestly, that's how I would have played the show too. Make every connection possible, because you're not going to have these connections in the real world because they're not going to give you a Rolodex of people to call. Like, it's, hey, we gave you a platform, we put you on TV, you go do what you need.
Like, you try to become friends with, like, the Jays. Like, actually be nice to them. Like, when the girls show up on set and they're just like, I hate waiting, or I don't like my makeup, I'm just like,
oh, yeah.
shut the fuck up.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, you want them to actually like you.
Right, exactly.
And that's the thing, too.
Or, like, talk to the photographers. Like,
Talk to the assistants, the makeup artists.
That's what I would have done. I would have done what Jade did. It's like, okay, well, I'm late. I'm not going to make this challenge. I'm going to get disqualified, but I'm going to meet every single designer, and maybe I'll book a job.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what
Jade is iconic.
Exactly.
I remember her being one of my favorites.
Oh, same.
Like,
and that's like
forever.
What you come out of it with. Like, you have to, because it's like they're not going to give you their connections. So you have to make them yourself. And I feel like that's what a lot of girls realize on the show. And I feel like Adrienne was kind of the first winner to kind of realize.
Well, she's considered the part of the lost season, because season 1, up until Hulu started, like, showing it again, it was never shown on TV.
Well,
when they did, like, the
which is so crazy to me.
Right, like when they did, like, the MTV marathons.
Yeah.
That, like, they never showed season 1.
And season 1 is probably my favorite season.
It's one of the best. Yeah.
And it's, so I mean, it's interesting though, because a lot of people say Tyra's not present, you're not going to, and the judges are also told, do not, because we talk about how Janice was so biased towards Elise. It was literally telling her the outcome of the eliminations.
Right.
And it's like, the judges are instructed, like, you are not allowed to talk to these girls outside of judging or maybe in, like, a chance encounter that they show up at a challenge or whatever.
Right.
You're not allowed to, because we don't want to create
favoritism.
Exactly.
I mean, that makes sense. It's a competition show.
But
it sucks. It kind of sucks.
Remember when Carrie D made that comment to Nigel about, like, taking the stick out of his ass or whatever? Yeah. And it's like, she was in big trouble because of that.
Right.
For making that comment.
And, like, if she had a personal connection with him.
Right.
Like, that joke probably would have been like, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. One thing I always love about the show is that as time went on, it went more, like, in this, like, crazy realm of, like, what reality would be like in, like, Tyra's head. Right. You know what I mean? Like, versus, like, actual, like, modeling, because, like, the first season, like, a lot of it is, like, swimsuit photo shoots and, like, like,
going to Paris and living in a tiny room altogether.
Like,
that's realistic when you're like a poor model.
And then there's, like, one season where they're, like, running on a treadmill because Miss J is, like, a fashion
chasing them.
Yeah, it's like chasing them because she's the fashion police or whatever. It's just like,
that's the thing why I personally like the earlier seasons, because I feel like a lot of those women on there could be models. I feel like a lot of the women on the seasons as it progressed, it was more, you have a great you're pretty and you have a good personality for reality television.
You're reality TV
like,
gold.
I'm not gonna see you in an ad somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
And, like, you're just reality TV, like.
Well,
you're
who's your
just
favorite
amazing.
contestant of all time?
Should we go down our list?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Let's talk about kind of our favorites. So my favorite models are Camille.
Oh, I love Camille.
I love Camille.
Yeah.
Season 2. Katarzyna from
Oh, wow.
season 10. Well, not just because she is my Polish sister, and
That's
she actually
right,
looks,
she is Polish.
She actually looks like she could be like my prettier sister, like prettier cousin. Like,
Yeah.
we just look so Polish, and we kind of look similar.
Well, she has the exact same, like, fair skin, brown hair.
Yeah, eyes, lips,
Same last
everything.
name.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, we look pretty similar, so but I just like her. I thought a lot of her photo shoots were beautiful. I always just thought she was striking. Eugenia.
Oh, yeah.
I love her. And I saw Eugenia in a lot of ads after her season. She actually was a very successful model.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Jade, iconic Jade.
Yes, Jade is the.
Jade's on my
Right.
list too.
My icon. Another
Yes.
thing we could always act out is her poem when she got eliminated.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Jade.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Like when she's
I
leaving.
mean, when it
she recites
aired,
a poem.
most of these things I watched
Yeah.
like right when it aired.
It's iconic.
When she
Yeah.
gets eliminated, like, she's doing
Maybe
this,
we
like,
could
weird
insert
poem,
it.
like, as she's leaving the house.
Yeah.
And she's, like, snapping to the beat. And you know how, like, at the end, like, that crust,
like,
that
fades
fades out
Yeah.
of their, like, makeover photo? Like,
Oh, yeah.
with Jade's, she does one final snap, and
And
she's
it's
gone.
it's so good. The editors are so good.
Yeah.
So those are my 4 favorites, just because I feel like they have a combination of a really fun personality and just beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Camille especially. I mean, I loved Camille, and I feel like Camille got the villain edit, but as I rewatched season 2, she's not that bad.
No,
Like,
she's just
she's-
kind of, like, indifferent to
She's
everybody.
just indifferent, and I feel like because she didn't feed into a lot of people's like bullshit,
Right.
she's automatically a villain. And I was
Right.
like, do I just like live in the city and see like the pits of hell every day? That this is
I would, like,
not
gladly
bad.
be friends with Camille,
exactly.
yeah.
So it's like, okay, I thought Camille's great. I love her.
Yeah, I feel like my favorite models were April from season 2.
Love.
Eva, the winner,
Icon.
season 3. And then, do you guys remember Melrose?
Melissa Rose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I loved Melrose. I thought she was really good, even though all the girls hated her.
I feel
Again,
like-
but it's just like,
She was a strong competitor.
Melrose would have won if
Yeah.
she had one kind of like episode arc of vulnerability.
yeah,
Because she was so good, but I think because she was so good and so sure of herself, like in real life, that's great to watch because it's inspiring. But
Right.
on reality television, that's not fun to watch.
No.
So I feel like with Melrose, if she had anything that kind of shook her or made her vulnerable, she would have won.
yeah.
She would have won.
I think Tyra even tried to give her an opportunity because there was an episode where, like, the girls are sitting around and she's like, has anyone been bothered by anything Melrose has said? And, like, the girls, like, all say to
Trying to
Melrose,
pick
it's
at
like,
her.
yeah, like, you're kind of, like, not that nice to us sometimes. You say mean things. And, like, all Melrose did was just like, well, I'm sorry that I said anything that has offended you guys. I didn't mean it. And I hope we can all just be friends after this.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, they're all just like, okay.
Yeah. If she
Like,
cried or something, it would have been a totally different story.
oh, yeah. But, I mean, Melrose was just like, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, but I also don't care about you guys.
It's a competition show,
And Melrose
right?
was like 24, 25, right?
Yeah, so
I
she's
feel
at that point where it's
and
like-
that was Jade too, when like you're at that age and you know yourself and you're on the show and you can kind of recognize the absurdity of the show.
Yeah.
And you can kind of troll people.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's definitely what Jade did too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that's how you get that villain edit, when you don't feed into all of this.
Yeah.
And like you're I don't want to say above it, but you're smarter than it.
You're not playing Tyra's game.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and that's when you're the
you
villain.
Can outsmart her, and that's when you get the villain edit. Even though it's like the average person can look at this and be like, "You're not a bad person."
Right.
Right.
Like any
you're just-
sane human being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're just not playing into it.
Do you guys have any favorite quotes from the show?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Kyle only.
Well, who
Kyle
are
has to-
you? Well,
I'm
who
like
are your
thinking.
favorite models?
My favorite models were Naima.
Yeah.
Oh, obsessed.
I loved her. JL. Because she was
Yeah.
from Detroit, and she had, and again, I know, really
in
sad,
peace.
rest in peace
Rest
with the
in
breast
peace.
cancer. And also she was
Iconic.
addicted to meth, and
then
oh,
she
that was so,
overcame
and she
that,
overcame it. Yeah. No,
Amazing
I loved
person.
her because I like really like ambiguous kind of gender and racial makeup. And she kind of had that. Naima kind of had that.
Yeah.
Allison with the big eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I
I love
loved Allison.
Well, it's funny because she, how she was saying how she got an edit about how they said that she was obsessed with blood.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, they cut off what I said because she's like, I studied forensics.
Right.
And I was obsessed with kind of like different types of blood in a forensic sciences.
Not in like
but
a...
they cut off the fact that she was studying forensics and just made it seem like she had an obsession with just blood.
Yeah.
Which it's like...
It's just so ridiculous. Yeah, those were kind of like my tops, along with like Jade and Jesseline. I like Jesseline too.
Well, speaking of editing, Jade was supposed to be on the All-Star season. I think that was cycle 17 where they brought girls back from the show. Jade was supposed to be on that season.
Why didn't she come?
But she was just like, I don't want to be another victim to editing.
Yeah, fair.
And I totally get it. Because she's like...
Is it weird that like... I mean, it's like a victim to editing, yet we're still like, we totally stan her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like you didn't get us.
Because let's be real, A&TM's editing was terrible.
Which I kind of love. It's pure camp.
Tyra's like voiceovers.
Oh my God, very
iconic. Yeah.
But I also feel like if...
You've been eliminated, Brooke. You just missed the
whatever.
Exactly.
But I feel like also, and like, I don't want to offend anyone, but if you're not basic... You're gonna like people like Jade. You're gonna like people like Camille. You're gonna like people like Melrose who have actual personalities and are like badass bitches. Like they know what they want. They don't want to deal with your crap and they want to get to their goal. And sorry, they're not gonna be like completely nice about it because that's not how it is in the real world.
So that's how you would play the game, and you would play the game. I would go in as the quirky girl.
No, and they'd be like, "Oh, honey, no, like you can't get in."
No, but I always like the girls that are kind of the underdogs, or like Laura from her Petite season when she's when she's like,
you always like the underdog.
I love the underdog. I do. I love Laura.
My strategy would be I would make friends with everyone so that when people would say, you won this challenge and you can choose one friend, everyone would always choose me.
Yeah.
But then I would always have my eye on the prize.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, I'd be like, sorry, guys.
That's a good idea. I don't know what I would be like.
They're like, choose your friends. And I'm like, I'd like to go in alone.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I have this by myself?
I'm like, can I take Mr. and Mrs. J?
Well, when you think about, like, the villains of the show, like, when you think about it now, like, I realize, none of them were actually outwardly mean.
They're not.
No.
And it's like, they're just over people. And honestly, that's how I would be, too, because you're in a room, you're not having sex, you're not drinking, you're barely eating.
It's a pressure cooker.
You're in there with these annoying people, and you're not getting any sleep.
Yeah.
And it's like, I need my alone time. You're barely allowed to talk on the phone and talk to the outside world. Anybody would crack. Anyone would be rude. And it's like, that's just how life is.
Well, and they would actually purposely starve the girls.
Mm-hmm. My God.
Yeah, they, like, girls have said, like, after the show, they're just like, well, you know why we were all, like, so tense is because we would get up at 5 a.m, we would go to a photo shoot, we'd stay all day, they wouldn't feed us whatsoever. Yeah. And by the time we get home, it's 9 o'clock at night. We're too tired to fucking eat.
Right.
And we have to
tired and hungry is a fatal combination.
Oh, God. I would be going batshit.
I would, yeah.
Someone's granola bars is gone, and Bree's upset with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd be going batshit crazy.
Same.
So I totally get it.
I absolutely get it. And especially just not being able, and I think, like, the girls from season 10... they were in that New York loft, which they got sued for trashing.
Yes, they did.
They had like $500,000 worth of damage,
which is like more than the winner's contract.
I know, like 5 times as much. But they were probably so bored because Whitney said she's like, we were never allowed to leave the loft unless we were filming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're basically sequestered in this place,
right?
And they're filmed for like 22 hours a day, so it's like shit's gonna be crazy.
And it's
at
not like
point.
Big Brother where it's just like you're being filmed on that, but
and
you
that's
have
what
like
you're
a house
signed
full
up for too.
Well, it's like
and
you have
all
a house
these
full
things
of
to do.
food, you have like seclusion areas and things like
with
that.
alcohol,
like,
there's no alcohol in Antigua.
Yeah, no.
So
that would suck.
Yeah.
Can I leave it off on one of my favorite quotes of all time from America's Next Top Model? So it's from season 7, and do you remember the twins, Michelle and Amanda?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
queer representation.
Yeah, because Michelle, halfway through the show, she realized she's like, I don't know if I'm completely straight. And which I always loved how she worded it too. She's like, I don't know if I'm completely straight. She doesn't know what exactly she is, but she just knows that she's queer.
Right.
And her sister Amanda was a little upset about it. And it wasn't because she was upset that Michelle was queer. She's like, I'm just really afraid that you just said that on national TV because we have so many people who are watching this, and I'm afraid that people are going to start bullying you, and I just want to protect you. And, like, they have the great sisterly moment. She's just like, well, I mean, it's out now. I mean, you can't really do anything now. And she's like, that's true. I love you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So then Michelle has to call their mom to let her know. And Amanda's like, you can do it. Don't worry. Mom will be fine. And Michelle comes out to her mom on the phone, which, and, like, I'm not laughing at that, but I'm laughing at the quote that happens.
And the quote is?
Well, at the very end, she ends the phone call. She's just like, I love you, Mommy. And she's like, oh, I love you too, Michelle. She's like, thank you. Happy Mother's Day. Like, imagine, like, calling your mom on Mother's Day being like, by the way, I'm gay.
Mom on her.
Yeah.
You know, that's iconic. One of my favorite quotes is from Miss J. Alexander. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but all those ugly words made me wealthy.
I love Miss J. Alexander.
It's so good.
The girls love her, too.
Yes.
Amazing.
Another one, I love that one. Another one that I love comes from Elise.
Oh.
Who, it's not
Also her monologue?
It's not her iconic rant.
Okay.
Which, oh my gosh. When asked if she thought she deserved to be an America's Next Top Model, she replied, I don't think it's acceptable to say that anyone deserves to win this competition. It's really not a basic human right to getting a modeling contract.
Oh, that was so
Which
good.
I love that line.
So good.
I love that line so much because I feel like Elise was like, this is just dumb.
Yeah.
And my most iconic line, spoken by Eric, Shandy's boyfriend in season 2. You had sex?
That was so sad, though. Because then you just hear the crying.
You just hear the
It's such a
sobbing.
good storyline.
But, like, okay, though.
Like,
Can
'cause they
we
built
talk
it up
about
so
that
quickly.
for a second?
Yeah.
Okay, I was watching that, and I watched it, like, 2 days ago. Because
Yeah.
I wanted to have that fresh in my mind. He forgives her, like, the next day.
Yeah.
Like, they were dating for 2 years. She goes and she's like, I had sex with this hot Italian model. Sorry. And then the next day, he's like, I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. You just need to go and you need to win and you need to get that contract. And I'm like, okay, how are you not mad?
Right.
My thought is, he's like, I'm dating a supermodel.
Right.
I'm dating a supermodel.
I can't get
and,
this. And like, he's like, I'm dating a model. And I'm not gonna let this go. Because how the next day, where it's
The
like
very next
the
day.
very next day she is still in Italy. Like, that man was inside of her less than 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
I think queer content would have been good. It'd be good queer canon if the boyfriend was like, okay, I think it should be even. I also want to sleep with the Italian male model.
I would live.
I have some tea about that. Did you know that April also had sex with a guy that
Did
night?
she really? Because
Yeah.
I watched that episode and I did not see her do that.
So apparently, this was right before the Super Bowl happened.
She was
And-
dating a guy.
Yeah. Apparently, it was right before the Super Bowl of when Janet Jackson's
Nip
breastplate got ripped
Oh my
off.
God.
Yeah. And so originally, the episode was going to feature a lot of more heavy content of like April getting hit on by the guy, and like most of them were like getting pretty hot and heavy. And
Because
they're just-
Giovanna was making out.
Yeah, and they were showing a lot of like heavy stuff. And apparently they had to go back and cut almost half of it because after the nip slip, the FFC was just like, well, we're like going completely conservative
I
on
would
everything.
live to see what was on that cutting room floor.
Yeah,
oh,
me too.
My God.
I know. Like, and like all 4 girls have said, yeah, it got really crazy that night.
Do you think they had like an orgy?
I would love it.
An America's Next Top Model orgy?
With those Italian men?
And they were all hot.
Oh, they were so ridiculously hot on those Vespas.
Yeah. Ugh.
Oh, they were hot. What's your favorite season?
Season 6 with Danielle. Or season 3 with Eva.
So good.
Yeah.
Do you know Eva's on Real Housewives of Atlanta?
Really?
Yeah. She's been on it for 2 years.
Wait,
So
what?
good. Yeah.
Is she Eva Marcel now?
Yeah, she is.
Yes, yes.
She looks exactly the same.
Miss Eva the Diva.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I love her.
Yeah. And I love a crossover.
Yeah, that's right.
I love
You
a
do.
crossover.
Wait, what's your favorite season?
Seasons 1 or 2.
Yeah,
Because I feel
the
like
OGs.
those definitely were kind of like lightning in a bottle. It was less produced.
Yeah.
It was more, this is an actual modeling competition as opposed to a reality show.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was kind of, yeah, it was more organic. And I think that those are just the seasons I always return to. And I love watching them and just finding something new. And then also, I just love kind of returning to that time because like it wasn't that long ago, but 2003 was a long time ago.
A lot has
And
changed.
It's
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of weird thinking like I was alive during that time, and
Right.
I wasn't a baby. Like, I was a person.
I wasn't a baby.
Exactly.
I
Like,
would
it
not.
I'm baby.
I was not a baby.
I was gonna say, but like, it wasn't
I'm
a
baby.
I wasn't a baby where it's like I was, you know, a human with a prerogative.
You weren't Goo Goo, but you were Gaga for America's Next Top Model.
Oh my god. Wait, what was your favorite season?
We're gonna edit that one out.
My favorite season was season 8 because it was the season that I remember watching the entire thing all the way through.
Yeah.
Because it was in 2007, so I was like 16 or 17. So I was like I was cognizant. Yeah. Of that's why I only had 2 lines in the reacting. But I remember watching it and like remembering JL and remembering Renee and Natasha and Brittany
Natasha.
and
Dion.
Dion.
Oh,
and
I love Dion.
Hold on.
Dion,
I know freaking Lisbo.
Dion did too what I think we all would at Go-Sees. We asked the designer, "Can I keep it?"
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my
yes.
god, I love this shirt. Can I keep
Can I keep
it?
it?
Like
I love
Whitney
that.
was on, and I remember really loving Whitney Cunningham.
That was season 10.
No, there was a Whitney Cunningham in this too.
Whitney.
She was
Cunningham.
also a plus size girl.
Yes.
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 Why don't I know
Very
her?
pretty plus size girl. And
But she sucked as a model.
she was not a good model, but she was very pretty.
Yes.
And I remember
Oh, Whitney. Oh, I love
Yes.
Whitney.
Yeah, and I remember because I had watched like seasons
love her.
before that, but only
Yeah.
like episodes because I was
Yeah.
like not as like adult or
Like,
whatever.
there's
You know
always,
what I mean?
like-
Like,
well, there's always,
like
like,
you get
one
to an
season
age
when you
where
start
you're
watching it and
you
you're
watch it
just
more
like,
consistently.
oh, yes,
Yeah. So
yeah.
season 8, but I also really loved season. I think it was 15 with Anne
Yeah.
and was it Kayla?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that season a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both very good
Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah.
Does anyone have a favorite picture or photo shoot?
Mine is, actually my all-time favorite photo is, there's 2 of them. Actually, there's 3, but I'm just going to narrow it down to 2. So the first one
can
is...
say 3.
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
The first one is Joanna's helmet picture from season 2.
So good with
Yes.
those green eyes.
Yes. The second one is from season 5. It's Nick. And she's wearing like that top hat and she has like that and like her shape is just like boom, 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 like back and forth. It's just, it's so pretty.
So good.
And then the third is like, it's more of a newer one, but it's like the season with Isis and they're all in a hot air balloon.
Oh, yeah.
There's this girl named Lauren Bree, and like I don't think she lasted that long actually, but she took like randomly like one of the best photos of all time, in my opinion. And it's just her in a hot air balloon, and she's just kind of like dangling off of it, and she just like is looking so couture. I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
We'll feature some of these photos in like the story.
Definitely. I was gonna say we should
Yeah.
feature some of these.
Definitely.
Do you?
Yes. Well, my first, and I love an OG. I love their first nude shoot. And Adrian does Adrian's picture with the jewel, with the necklace, and she's nude, and just like her body
She's
is
incredible.
insane. Like, I love that picture, and she's all like greased up, and it's just so sexy. That's also going back to Robin, an iconic quote about how we kind of lifted the veil about Robin not being as godly as we thought she was because she refused to pose nude. But then Tyra calls her out and she goes, well, a couple weeks back, I saw you go and I saw you shake your chest at Mr. J.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, no, I didn't. And she's like, yes, you did. I saw your breasts go up and down and around.
And around.
It's like, and she shook her chest at Robin, and she goes, and you did not know Miss Tyra was standing and watching you do that. And it was like,
Doesn't
face crack.
Doesn't Tyra
of the
say something about
century.
like you're acting like a little girl to her mama, lying to her right now? Doesn't she say something like that?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
does.
Like and
Oh my God,
like
iconic.
It was
Robin.
so good, but like Robin's face was just like
I mean, how do you defend yourself? Because
Yeah.
she knew she was wrong.
She's like, my body is a temple, and that's something I would like to not discuss.
right.
I'm like,
Well,
what?
someone said, have you slept with anyone? And then Shannon's immediately like, no. And then Robin's like, I will not discuss that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah.
And like,
and we're not
these
mad at it.
godly ladies.
Right. But I love that photo shoot. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's timeless. I think you could put that in 2019 and it would still be like fierce as hell.
oh yeah.
I really love season, season 4, the 1-800-Flowers dog walkers.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know why I love that one so much.
It's so bright
It's
and
just
pretty.
like the
Such a
background, the
beautiful-
colors. Like I remember as a kid watching that and being like, "This is so pretty." And really, any photo shoot done in Japan in season 3.
Yeah.
Like when they're on the motorcycles
Yes.
in Tokyo
The
or
geisha.
the geishas. Like I just like any of those. I
cover
loved,
girl photos.
Exactly. Like I loved really anything done in Japan. Like that was so cool that they
Yeah.
went there. Like
What about you?
Mine is from season 7, and it's not necessarily a photo, but it's a photo shoot where they do the circus themed.
Yeah.
And they have like the strong woman, and
Yes, I
they have
forgot about
and they
that.
have like is it Mel? Who was it? It was a blonde with the elephant nose.
No, that was Carrie D.
Carrie D. Yes, and
And she's like all stretched out on the
Yes.
car. Yeah.
And I just because I love kind of like weird circusy things, but I also like I think it was Anne's season, cycle 15, when they have them lying down underneath like a glass, like I don't know, like a window, and they have water kind of flowing on top of it, and they're covered with like jewels, like pearls and like sea foam and stuff like that, and it looks like they're underwater, and they all look like mermaids. So of course I'm like a sucker for mermaids. Which also, what's the season that they're in? Is it Thailand? Is it season 6 when they're
Mermaids.
mermaids and they're being
Yes.
pulled out of? I remember when I saw that episode, how cool that was. This stuck with me when I was younger, because I was like, oh my god, it's a floating market. Because there's all these women in their
Right.
boats,
Yeah.
and it's a marketplace.
Yeah,
And then they
it's so
strap
cool.
these models up as mermaids above the boats. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
No,
So those were like
that was a really like cool concept.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, that was the same season where they did the elephant photo shoot. Do you remember that one? The next one, where they're on top of the elephant.
Yes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Danielle
Yes.
was sick.
Yes. And she was like dehydrated. She went to
Yep.
the hospital, and she
she
like got
still
up on
came.
the elephant. She's just like, bam.
Yeah. What I thought was a cool concept, but it was kind of weird in retrospect, was the 7 Deadly Sins
Yeah.
one, where so Kaylin had just found out that her childhood friend had died.
Yeah.
And literally had to. She
Producer
was,
manipulation, I think.
Exactly. Producer manipulation. You had to lower herself into a grave, and she was rage.
Yeah.
And then Kenya,
Who was gaining weight.
Kenya was gaining weight, so this was another problematic thing.
Yeah.
Kenya was gaining weight, so they put her as gluttony. Not okay. So not okay. But kind of a cool idea, because I loved Tatiana with greed.
Yeah.
I thought she was so pretty with like the money. Oh, I loved it.
Like I liked that more than I liked the one where I think it was seasons 8, because JL had just found out one of her friends had just died, and they had to do the dead models.
Yeah.
And it made
Which is
me feel
weird.
very uncomfortable, because like
It's weird.
women,
they were
like
murdered, right?
they were murdered, and I just feel like there's this conversation that wasn't discussed in a really positive
Yeah.
light of domestic
Yeah.
violence that women go through every day,
It was-
and then you're going to like
yeah.
make it seem like they've been strangled and like thrown downstairs, and I don't know. I was
Right.
just not a
one
huge
where it
fan
was,
of
like,
that one.
beaten to death.
Yeah, like, and one was stabbed in the chest. Like, I was just not a huge fan of that
They
one.
did that in Carrie Day's season with Michelle, where she had to be like bulimic.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that too.
I do remember that photo shoot. That was a good one.
It was a good one.
Well, I mean, it was a good
but
photo.
It was a great photo, but kind of weird
Yeah.
in retrospect.
With the twins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's the circus season, because they put the twins together.
Right.
Yeah.
So we did our favorite models. Does anyone have a least favorite model?
Mine's Robin.
I'd say Robin.
Yeah.
Like, Robin
She
is like,
is-
she's nasty.
She's a nasty person, and she was super fake.
She's not fun to like, or not fun to hate, rather.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, she's so self-righteous.
Right.
She's so, like, she's not, to me, yes, she's a pretty woman, but, like, I don't think she's a good model.
No.
No,
I
and
don't.
and also, there's a clip, because they're in Paris, and it's Robin, Shannon, Adrian, and Elise.
Mm-hmm.
And Robin and Shannon really wanted to go shopping. And Adrian wanted to see Jim Morrison's grave.
Right.
Right.
And Elise wanted to keep the 4 of them together.
Mm-hmm.
And Robin refuses to compromise. And she's like, no, I want to go shopping. She's like, but Adrian wants to see the grave. She's like, I want to go shopping. And she won't do it. And she's like, just because it's just like you don't believe in God, I don't go see graves.
Like, that
I
was
like,
such a
what does that have to do with
it was such a
anything?
frustrating
Right.
moment too, because when they did go shopping, Robin is buying all this stuff.
Robin had a
like
lot of
clearly, yeah, money was not an issue to her. And what I like is Elise is like, she's with Adrian. She's like, I don't know why I was trying to keep us all together, because I'm
Right.
having so much more fun with Adrian.
Yes, exactly. So that was.
Yeah, Robin is
And Shannon even
really
was just
frustrating.
like, I mean, obviously, if she's willing to compromise for us, we should compromise
Yeah.
for her. And Robin's just like, shut the fuck up.
I know.
Like,
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
And so for some reason, Cycle 5, I just am not crazy about the models in Cycle 5.
Yeah.
I don't like Nicole. I don't think she should have won over Nick. I
No.
love Nick. Nick is like the redeeming quality of Cycle 5.
Yeah.
Even though she's a lesbian, I don't like Kim. I think she's
You
a
don't have to
shitster.
like every queer person.
Well, I try to. But I
It's really hard with you two.
Right, exactly.
That's how she got on this
You guys
podcast.
are making it very complicated, but I try to.
We're very Avril Lavigne
Yes.
making it complicated.
Yes, exactly. But I think she's a shitster and not in the fun way. I think
Yeah.
she just said a lot of mean things about people.
Yeah.
I don't like Nicole. I don't like Jayla.
Oh, yeah,
Jayla.
Jay.
I don't like her.
Yeah.
I think she just was not fun.
No.
Bree was not fun. There's not.
Bree got nasty.
Yeah, Bree got nasty.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of redeeming people on that season, so
No.
I'm not a fan.
So maybe season 5 is a wash. Anyone who
Yes.
hasn't watched any of America's Next Top Model,
Yes. I
would
maybe skip
actually-
that one. What would you recommend?
It
if
has a
people
lot
who
of
haven't watched
memorable
it?
moments.
It has a lot of memorable moments.
It's just that it's not fun
I
to
don't.
watch.
Yeah, it's not fun, and I don't really like all the.
I
girls
actually
on
say
there.
anything past the short season. Skip.
I don't watch. Yeah.
Just
well,
skip.
the All Star season is fun
The All Star season
because
is fine.
it's like your. But also, who I don't like, anyone who cried at a makeover.
Oh, God.
yeah.
Jada.
Who's from Iowa?
Katie from season 2.
Yeah.
Because she's like, shave my head bald, and then the second they wanted to cut her hair, she had a meltdown.
Is it Brandy with the red afro?
Yes, Brandy.
She pissed me off a lot.
Because they wanted to keep Brandy's red afro, and she got pissed off that they didn't want to give her a makeover.
and then she was like, well, there's dreads in it. And then they're like, okay, well,
No,
we're going to
we'll
take
do
it
it.
off. And then she's like, well, I hate my short hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Like,
well, what the fuck do
seriously?
you want?
Cassandra.
Oh, but Cassandra took it to such a level. I thought it was kind of iconic.
But she took it to such a level, but there was a scary quote that she made, and it was something like, she's like, you know how a sociopath doesn't feel bad about killing people? She's like, except I've never killed anyone. It's
Oh my
like,
God.
Oh. It's like, okay.
I relate to that comment.
Yeah,
no.
Right, and I,
But, like-
if Cassandra was a gay man saying that to me, I'd be
I
like,
know. I mean,
oh.
it's kind of, I'm kind of here for it.
Stick it in.
Exactly. But it was like, oh my gosh, stop making a political statement about your hair. And the
Yeah.
fact was, her haircut.
Stop making a
And-
political
yeah.
statement about your hair.
Well, because she kept saying, she's like, if I let them cut off 1 more inch, that means that they've taken my entire identity.
Yeah.
And it's like, girl.
It's like, no.
It's
And
like,
you
no.
actually needed
And
that.
she looked so much better.
with the haircut, yeah.
Yeah. And I guess like we can leave. Do we have a favorite judge and a least favorite judge?
My favorite judge is Miss J.
Miss J.
Hands
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, Miss J or Kimora Lee Simmons in season 1.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's so funny because she was in it, and then just gone.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and it was the real Kimora because I feel like Kimora on her show she
Became
kind
a reality
like,
star.
She
Yeah.
came like a parody of herself.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was the real Kimora who seemed so fun to hang out with.
Oh, yeah, she was like so chill.
Yeah,
And
and, like,
funny
I-
and snarky.
And right, and like I think she'd be really fun. My least favorite judge, and I didn't want to just say someone to say someone because I didn't really have a least favorite judge.
Right.
So I said Rita Ora.
Oh my!
I didn't-
Oh
I
my
didn't
God!
really
honestly,
understand why she hosted
I
the
was
show.
thinking that I don't like that at all. I
Yeah,
doesn't
that was
like
weird.
and why?
It's like
Why?
that
It made-
cycle
I-
should be like forgotten about.
It-
Yeah,
so
it was
weird.
Really
Well, and
weird.
I actually tried watching a little bit of that season just to see what it was like, just in terms of like how much has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was so weird because Rita kept like mentioning like you have to be a boss, like you have to be like a hard-headed boss in order to like make it in this world. And she kept like repeating that over and
Yeah.
over again. You're just like, what the fuck are you talking
and it's
about?
like, who are you?
Yeah.
No, I was just about to say, what does Rita Ora do?
Right.
I don't
Like,
even know who she does. She's like British.
She's British.
But she's a singer, right?
Well, I
Is
felt
she-
like she was
or-
like the British Rihanna for the longest time.
But then that's
But
rude
I
to
feel like
Rihanna.
that's being very
Right.
kind.
Oh, it is being very kind.
For Rita, yeah.
yeah.
Right.
To
for
yeah, yeah,
Rita,
yeah.
Because it's just like, I mean, that's like the closest thing.
I'd like to be any version of Rihanna.
Right? I'd like to be Rihanna's like.
Disturbia phase,
Right,
definitely.
right.
Oh my god, yes. But it was just like, that was like what she was marketed as, but like obviously she never.
But she
like-
was never a model.
No.
She's not a model. She's sort of a singer.
Yeah.
Is she an actress?
She was in 50 Shades of Grey.
She would
So she's not an actress. So she. So why did they choose like a TV personality?
I think they just needed someone who to like fill the slot.
But then Tyra got rid of her when she saw it lost 1 million viewers.
Yeah.
And she's like quoted saying like Mama's coming home.
Yeah.
Like in an interview. And I was like,
and I mean she has
it's true.
to.
Yeah.
And apparently she wants to end it on like a really big note with cycle 25. Because right now there's 24 cycles, including Rita Ora's season, which blah. But there was an interview that she's like, I don't think I'm gonna do it anytime soon, but like cycle 25 is not out of the realm. And she's just like, and she did quote by saying that she was like, honestly, like I would like to like see like some of the OG girls come back, and she did mention Adrian.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so like I think she offered an olive branch.
Wow.
I would live if cycle 25 was an all-star cycle.
What I would love is that she brought back all the winners.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Like a true all-star cycle.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Well,
Which I would be so down for. And in this day and age, that would be great for some of them.
that'd be such a good TV too.
Oh, totally.
I'd watch that in a heartbeat.
Oh my god, I would live.
Yeah. So
I would live.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
And we'll end that on a positive.
Can you hear us, Tyra?
Yeah. We'll end that on a
Tyra,
positive
can you
note.
hear us?
We'll pray to Tyra every night.
Yes. So we just had a really great long discussion about America's Next Top Model. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on.
Gosh, thank you for having me, and
Yes.
thank you for everyone who listened in.
You're a well of knowledge when it comes to reality TV and pop culture. So I
Right.
think we could
Thank
do
you.
totally another episode.
Oh my God,
We'll
I
just
love
choose
it.
something. We'll just pull it out of a bag and just be like flavor of love,
Right.
or like
Thing.
RuPaul's Drag Race. Like we'll just
Yeah.
like.
I would love it. Thank you so much for having
you
me.
for
This
being
was so much fun.
Yeah. Is there any social media that you want to plug while you're on right now?
Well, you can follow me at Jill Konkel. It's KONKEL on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
On Twitter, I'm JMK all the way.
Yes.
And I created it when I was 17, so don't judge me.
No, it's
If
really
it's
catchy.
not broken, why fix it?
Exactly. If it ain't Baroque, don't fix it. And
Beauty and the Beast.
I can't remember where you guys rated Belle in in your last episode.
She was 7 for me.
Okay.
5, yeah.
Oh, okay, pretty high. And I'm also JMK all the way on Snapchat. I post pretty good Snapchat stories. They're fun.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
true.
true.
So if anyone wants,
You're
to
probably
watch
most active on Snapchat.
I'm definitely most active on Snapchat.
It's because you're
So,
young.
Yeah.
The
I was
youngs-
born in '98. Remember?
Yes, the young people
She
love
was only
Snapchat.
4 when America's Next Top Model
Yeah,
came
right.
on.
I just have a really great memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would watch them like other people read storybooks to their kids. So
Right.
you
When
just
Jill
watch
learned to
reruns.
walk, she also watched the girls learn to walk on
Exactly.
the runway.
She also worked how to
Miss
sashay.
J taught me how to walk.
Yeah.
But yes, everybody, and keep listening to Fear the Queer.
Oh,
I
thank
love
you
what you guys are
plugging
doing,
us.
and it's awesome seeing how far you guys have come, because I remember when this was just a zygote. in
Yeah, and I mean,
Aw,
the queer
thank you.
universe.
like we're not here to make friends. We're here to meet America's
not
Next
about-
Top Model.
This is not a sorority, and
Yeah.
this is not America's Next Top Best Friend.
Yeah.
Okay? This was really fun. It
Yeah.
almost has inspired me to create an America's Next Top Model podcast.
I think you'd be
should.
great at it.
America's
Would
Next
you call
Top
it-
Podcast.
Yeah.
No one take that.
Gwen!
Gwen Stefani,
Bonnie, do not do it.
we know where you are. Do we?
So maybe if I do that, you guys can be guests on mine.
Oh my
God.
god, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But thank you so much again.
Of course. And
you.
for those who are listening, obviously listen to us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search for us at Fear the Queer Podcast.
You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook. Yes, believe it or not, we can be somewhat active on Facebook.
Yeah, every once in a while.
I like all the posts.
It's true. Jill's our number one fan.
Hey.
Yeah.
And as always, I'm Kyle.
And I'm Josh.
And I'm Jill.
And we're Fear the Queer. Bye. You want to be on top? I'm asking you, really, this is an orgy.